Chapter 252 Watermelon, let's see if they taste good at lunch. Xiao Taodao smiled. Of course they are sweet. You planted them. Qiao Xian smiled. Your tongue is sweeter. Tao Tao smiled shyly. This watermelon was bigger than a large bowl, green in skin with dark stripes. At the knock by slightly buckled knuckles, it gave a crisp and elastic sound. Qiao Xian suddenly started drooling. She knew that the watermelons she planted would taste sweet. Miss Fang and the others in the family had never seen watermelons before. They had only heard about it from Qiao Xian. Can watermelons be eaten raw? It is so sweet. I heard about a kind of sweet melon that can be eaten raw. It is very sweet. Lu Yan's eyes widened. A watermelon? Was that a real watermelon? She did not see it wrong, did she? Did second miss manage to get watermelons? Lu Yan could not help but comment. Watermelons are precious things and we don't usually see them here. Every summer old master can get 3 or 4. He and Madame Qiao take them as treasure. When you cut the red melon inside there is a lot of juice and a fresh fragrance. I heard that it tastes very sweet. Lu Yan was a maid, but she worked for the county magistrate, so she did have some knowledge about unusual things. Hearing what she said, everyone looked at the watermelon with respect and treated it carefully. Is it so precious? Then it must be a good thing. We are so lucky to get a taste of it. Miss Fang asked. Miss Qiao, just save them to make money since they are so precious. They all nodded and agreed. The farmers knew that precious things should not be ruined but sold. That was what a farmer's family normally thought. They were already very satisfied and grateful to have been able to taste this precious thing. After all, that was something even the county magistrate believed as being precious. Qiao Xian smiled. Mom, we have many more in the yard and soon they will be ripe during summer. We can eat them as much as we can, not as precious as you think. We have enough seeds and we can plant as many as we want. Miss Fang smiled and waved her hands. Just sell them for money, we don't want to eat them. It is fine, we have a lot of money now but we need good food. We can plant some more next year and sell them. Miss Fang laughed. Haha. As she thought about the fact that the family was not bad for money now, and watermelons could be grown in this field as Qiao Xian said, it was not too uncommon to be able to grow them in the field. So she said nothing more. But what she did not know was that Qiao Xian had used her superpower to ripen the watermelon, otherwise they would not grow this big. Normal people would not be able to get this without spending much energy, and the fruits might not have grown so well either. Honestly, watermelons attracted bugs. If it was raining during flowering and fruiting, the fruits might be dead. But for Qiao Xian, none of these was a problem. She could always dodge it successfully. Therefore her watermelons grew well, big and numerous. Miss Fang and the family had no idea about this, so they believed what Qiao Xian said about how to plant them, and dropped the idea of thinking of them as precious. Chapter 253 Not herself. Qiao Xian placed the 2 watermelons in the cold water bucket, waiting for Shao Dalong and the others to return to have a taste. Miss Su asked Qiao Xian in a staggering voice. Fifth sister-in-law, can I take some seeds to my mother's home so they can plant some next year too? Sure. Qiao Xian nodded without hesitation. The black seeds are ripe. You can take back as many as you want. Overjoyed, Miss Su said, Thanks so much, fifth sister-in-law. Miss Su felt so happy when her request was granted so easily. After lunchtime, they surrounded the table and looked at the watermelon with wide eyes. Miss Fang felt a bit nervous as she cut it. With a crisp and low sound, the watermelon burst open. The flesh of the melon was bright red, with countless black seeds inside. This watermelon was brought back from the wild. It was not the excellent variety like the modern times. There were relatively many more seeds. But the watermelon tasted much fresher too. It tastes so good. Xiao Sanlang swallowed down the seeds. Yang Xiaoni licked her lips, smiling. Yes, it looks very tasty. Miss Fang threw a look at the couple, who were only out for food. She cut the watermelon into pieces and picked them up carefully. Everyone picked up a piece each and the juice filled up their mouths. The flesh was soft and the juice was abundant. The fresh sweetness instantly captured all the perceptions in the mouth. In an instant, all the cells in the mouth were mobilized and they couldn't wait to swallow. Different voices rang in the room. I want more. Oh God, it is so tasty. Sweet and juicy, full of flesh. No wonder it is precious. So tasty. Ah, I can eat up the whole thing. They all spoke highly of the fruit and just could not stop. Even Lu Yan was given a piece. Lu Yan was so startled that she could not help but remember how it tasted after all. That was watermelon. A precious thing. Second Miss could do everything. They ate it all up except for the 2 large slices left to Xiao Xiaoqi who was in the mountains. It tasted great. Chao Xian eventually fell in love with the taste. Sweet, fresh and drooling. In the scorching summer, at noon with the sun in the sky, eating watermelons soaked in ice-cold water was so pleasing. The watermelons had numerous seeds, but it did not hurt. Chao Xian did not want to sell them, but there were many of them at home, and they could not finish them alone. She was not giving this fruit to anyone else. Her father-in-law no longer mentioned giving it to the other sections of the family, though he had that intention. Chao Xian ignored him conveniently. Shun had already made the plan about how to sell the watermelons. She intended to visit Mingren Tang in a couple of days and talk to manager Qin about it. Maybe the watermelons and tea leaves could be sold through them. She herself would never show up to do so. Otherwise, Officer Chao and Madame Chao would get a clue. Chapter 254. Not returning. Thinking that even her parents were not able to eat these precious things throughout the summer, Chao Xian could not help but feel glad. She was going to sell the watermelons at a high price to some rich people, someone like her parents. Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou were not living a good life. The water and field had been opened by someone else, and Ding Erzhu was left with barren land. He had no money to buy a field. He could earn a little bit by opening a few mu, and when he had more money he could sign a contract. But no one would expect to give the money in advance. At this rate they would definitely starve. Opening fields was not easy, especially when the weed was growing so crazily. Their son was only 3 years old and he could not be away from his parents, but Ms. Zhou did not want her husband to work alone. She was anxious too. 2 of them were very slow, but one person alone could not finish the work. Half of the year had already passed. Now they needed to hurry up to open up wasteland, plant some taro soybeans. They hoped to rush into harvest before winter came. If it was delayed, there would be no harvest in autumn and winter. Then what would they do? They had already made the plan. In autumn and winter they would go up into the mountain to dig yam, and in autumn, there were wild chestnuts, date in the mountains too. They could dig mushrooms too. They would probably ask the first section of the Shao family to see what they could eat. Also, Ding Erzhu would chop some wood and sell it in the town. In this way they might be able to buy some thick clothes and food for winter. It was so difficult to live through these days. But they would not regret this life which they had chosen. They were going to continue to persevere no matter what. The couple had to bring their son along for the wasteland opening. They put the son under the tree and started to work. The 3-year-old was so naughty that he kept playing with mud, stones, weeds, and when he was fed up with it, he ran around. Ms. Zhou had no choice but throw away the shovel to catch her son. Ms. Zhou felt so tired that she had to carry the son on her back all the time. In this way she could catch him whenever he tried to run away. But the sun was too strong for the son, so he got sunstroke and developed a fever during the night. The couple got so frightened that Ms. Zhou almost passed out. Ding Erzhu tried to borrow some money from his parents to visit a cheap doctor, but 5th Grandma Ding and 5th Grandpa Ding refused to give him money. 5th Grandpa Ding told him that he should apologize first before being given the money, and make the promise that he would never rebel against them again. Otherwise, he would get no money at all because he was not part of the family and could not get anything from him. Ding Erzhu's heart was broken. He had respected his parents for more than 30 years and that was what he got. His parents threatened him with his 6 son's life. If he returned to the family he would be humiliated to death. His wife and his son would suffer even more. Ding Erzhu turned away without looking back. He had his teeth clenched and knocked at the door of the first section of the Shao family. Chapter 255. Ideas. He did not want to cause trouble to Ms. Fong, but the first section of the Shao family must be the only people who would be willing to help them, under such circumstances. Ms. Fong was a kind-hearted person and her family was capable enough to help them. The other families might offer vegetables, bowls of rice, but never money. Hearing what he said, Ms. Fong was startled and loaned him 50 won immediately. Ding Erzhu thanked her with tears in his eyes and hired the doctor from the next village overnight. Luckily the boy was not seriously sick. He drank some medical herb soup and by lunchtime the following day, the body temperature dropped. Although it arose a little bit later, yet eventually, it dropped after 1 day. The couple guarded the boy throughout the whole night and did not dare to move away. They felt as if the sky had fallen down. Miss Fong and Miss Chao visited them the first day, and came to see them again the next day. They had some food with them, including some vegetables and the rooster that Xiao Xiaoqi had hunted. Chao Xian even brought a big watermelon for the child to eat, but she told them not to feed the child too much at one go. Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou felt really grateful. Ding Erzhu almost kneeled down to kowtow to Miss Fong, who asked Ms. Zhou to help him up. Ding Erzhu wiped his eyes and said, "Miss Fong, you are such a great family. We will never be able to pay back for what you have done for us. Please tell us whenever you need us to do anything. We are strong people and we will pay you back in our next life too. Miss Fong sighed. Just drop it. We are living in the same village. You two are diligent people and you will definitely have a good life. Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou nodded hesitantly, accepting Miss Fang's good intention. But they really could not imagine what on earth their future would be. Would they get better? They just could not see any hope. Miss Fong and Xiao Xian exchanged a look as Miss Fong coughed and said, "You can't go on like this. The boy is too small to leave you and you have nothing here and you won't make it through winter. I have an idea, would you like to listen?" Miss Fang's words hit Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou's hearts. That was exactly what they were worried about. Hearing what Miss Fong said, the couple looked suddenly motivated. Ms. Zhou said, "Miss Fong, you are a nice person, please tell us what ideas you have. If you can help us, we will be really grateful." Ding Erju nodded. The couple looked at Miss Fong expectantly. Miss Fong knew of Xiao Xian's good fields at the Zhang village, and it was Xiao Xian's proposal in the beginning. So she thought about this and believed that it was a good idea. She knew about this couple. They were both very honest and down-to-earth people. Moreover, their child was so pitiful. They could help Xiao Xian to guard the fields and could also live a better life themselves. Ms. Fong told them about this but asked them to keep the secret. Xiao Xian was the daughter of the county magistrate. When Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou heard about the fields, they did not find it strange. They assumed that those fields were just the dowry. They knew all about keeping the secret. The Shao family had their own problems. The second and the third section of the family were greedy for Xiao Xian's properties, and hence Xiao Xian needed to keep it a secret. Chapter 256. Nosy. The couple got overjoyed and could not wait to immediately implement the plan. "Don't worry, we will work hard and watch the fields, and we will never reveal anything to anyone." Ms. Zhou sobbed. "I really have no idea what to say," Xiao Xian smiled. "I need to hire someone to watch over the fields anyway. We know you well and trust you. Some land officers can be sneaky and the business may not be so easy. So, please, second Uncle Ding, I will check the fields every 15 days, the rest will be in your hands." Ding Erju panicked a little, feeling nervous and anxious. He had never watched over any fields before, and he had no idea whether he would be able to do a good job at it. But he cherished this opportunity that no one else had got. Also, for his family who had already fallen in despair, it was an excellent thing. "I will be fully devoted." When the deal was done, Xiao Xian told them with a smile that they should move there early, in fact the next morning. She asked them to wait outside the village. She and Xiao Yunduan would take the bull there and pick them up. Since the deal was a secret, no one from the village should see them together. Ms. Zhou and Ding Erju nodded. As the couple said bye to Ms. Qiao and Ms. Fong, both of them felt a huge load off their chests. They were highly motivated. "Good, this is good. Yeah. Ms. Fong and her whole family are nice people. We have to work hard." "Yes, of course." At 5th Grandpa Ding's home. 5th Grandpa Ding heard about Ding Ziyashi's fever getting better and let out a sigh of relief. But then he felt even more annoyed. He believed that the Shao family should not get involved with them. But for the Shao family, he might have forced Ding Erju and his wife to come back home. As of now, he looked like the ruthless one. Nosy family. They are burning their money. 5th Grandpa Ding complained and asked 5th Grandma Ding to take 10 eggs, several kgs of rice and some beans, eggplants and chilies to visit Ding Erju and his family. Just go and check on them. They are still part of the Ding clan. 5th Grandma Ding snorted unhappily but did not counter him. Yes, they should not be too cruel because the villagers were spreading all sorts of rumors. But it was their fault. It was her second son and his weird family who knew nothing better. They were weirdos who pretended to be honest and obedient. They were actually the opposite. This matter should not have become such a big deal. 5th Grandma Ding got so annoyed whenever she thought about this. Visit them? Give them food? No way. They don't deserve the eggs. They will never get any food from us. 5th Grandma Ding snapped and took 4 eggs out of 10 and scooped out a bowl of rice. After that, she left for Ding Erzu's residence with the eggs, rice and vegetables. The watermelon was sweet, red and juicy. When Miss Qiao and Miss Fong left, Ms. Zhou asked Ding Erzu to cut it open and feed Ding Xiaosher. Ding Xiaosher loved it and smiled brightly. The couple tasted it too and praised it highly. Chapter 257. How dare he? What is this watermelon? It tastes so good. Yeah, they are so generous and friendly. Ms. Zhou even remembered what Xiao Xian had said. She mentioned specifically that they should not give their son too much of this fruit. So the 3 of them ate half and kept the rest for the evening. Xiao Xian also said that cut watermelon could not be eaten the next day, otherwise it would turn rotten and cause diarrhea. Fifth Grandma Ding arrived after they ate some watermelon. The moment she walked in, the warm air of the room turned cold. The family had a bad look on their faces, including Ding Xiaoshi. Fifth Grandma Ding glared at them and snorted. "What are you staring at me for? Not calling me?" Ms. Zhou's lips moved and then she turned away. She was silent, saying nothing as she bit the lips. Calling her? The whole family was a pack of beasts, they were not people. Ding Zhou opened his mouth but uttered no sound. He was used to being ordered around by his mother, and he subconsciously was going to address her as mother. Yet when he thought of how his family was treated, he stopped himself. "You ungrateful people." Fifth Grandma Ding said angrily, "I am bringing you food and you are treating me like this? You are not even calling me mother?" Ding Zhou sneered. "I have moved out of the family and kowtowed to you. I can't call you mother. I can't afford to call you mother." "You," Fifth Grandma Ding shivered out of anger as she pointed at Ms. Zhou and said, "You bitch. You must have told him to do so. My son used to be an obedient person, but after he married you, everything changed. You bitch must have told him to behave like this. You have caused so much trouble to my son. Are you satisfied by what you have got now? You will have to pay for your deeds." "I am going to pay for my deeds," Ms. Zhou screamed. "I can bear the payment, but will you be able to bear the consequences? Are you afraid? How dare you?" Fifth Grandma Ding continued to snap and started to roll up her sleeves to hit Ms. Zhou. "You bitch." Ding Zhou suddenly stopped her and responded with a sunk face. "Just go home, you don't have to take care of us. Also, we don't need your stuff. Just take it back with you." Fifth Grandma Ding looked at Ding Zhou with disbelief. Her lips were shivering but she just could not utter a sound. Her son was always obedient and did not dare to disobey her. She never believed that him moving out of the family was a big deal. She never thought that an obedient person like him would ever achieve anything good. He was just a stupid coward who would make no big deal after he moved out. She thought that he would always want to return and beg her. But it was not until this moment did she realize that she was wrong. How dare this coward say things like this? "I am going to see how much further you are going to last. How are you going to survive? I will wait and see. Don't blame me for not taking care of you." Ding Zhou turned around and tried to hold his misery. His mother never liked him because he knew that he was not pleasing enough. But what he had not expected was that his mother would treat him like this. Fifth Grandma Ding sneered and was about to leave, when she saw Ding Xiaoshi bending over the short table, trying to put some melon with seeds into his mouth. Chapter 258 Confused no longer. Ms. Zhou saw that too. She went to catch her son and pacified him. "Just calm down, we will eat it later." The sweet scent of melon spread around. Fifth Grandma Ding could not help but swallow down her saliva. She could not help but ask, "What is that thing? Where did you get it from?" Ms. Zhou became vigilant and snapped. Ms. Fang gave it to Shi, a watermelon found in the mountains. No one had ever seen a melon in the village, nor had anyone heard about melons at the Shao family's yard, so Ms. Zhou thought that the melon was found in the mountain by Shao Xiaoqi. Fifth Grandma Ding snorted but could not move her eyes away from the watermelon. Ding Xiaoshi's fingers had dug out a piece, and the sunk part was filled with watermelon juice, which made it look really tasty. Fifth Grandma Ding wanted to have a taste of it, but she did not want to say it. The truth was that she was drooling already. In the past, Ding Zhou would have cut a generous part and given it to her, but Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou showed no reaction now. Fifth Grandma Ding snapped when she could not ask for it openly. "They always bring a lot of things home, but watch out, they eat mushrooms that kill people. This must be a horrible thing too." Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou got angry. Ms. Zhou said in a trembling voice, "It is none of your business." Ms. Fang was so friendly and they had accepted her offer. They did not need to hear any comments from others. Ms. Zhou mustered up her courage to counter her mother-in-law. Fifth Grandma Ding got annoyed and snapped at Ms. Zhou. Ding Zhou could not stand that anymore and dragged her out. Fifth Grandma Ding shouted some more and finally left. She mumbled, "Heartless people, don't even let me have a taste of it." She could not help but feel like tasting it. "Just, don't take what she said to your heart," Ding Zhou mumbled. Ms. Zhou sneered. "I used to be stupid, but I will not be foolish anymore." Ding Zhou was stuck speechless. Fifth Grandma Ding rushed home in anger, and when Fifth Grandpa Ding saw the things brought back intact, he snapped. "Why are you bringing them back?" Fifth Grandma Ding sneered. "They are hanging out with Miss Fang. They don't want our things. They just turned me down. Do you think I should have still pushed it to them?" Fifth Grandpa Ding was startled. How could that be possible? Why not? Fifth Grandma Ding sneered. Maybe you can have a try? Fifth Grandpa Ding fell in silence. He sighed. How could it have become like this? The following day, the first section of the Shao family ate breakfast. Afterwards, Shao Taotao took Miss Su and Yang Xiaoni into the floral field for lipsticks. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan went on the bull cart and fetched Ding Erju and his family, so that they could all head towards the Zhang village. After the wheat was cropped, Qiao Xian had not seen the field but had long planned to. It was just the right time. There was no house built there, so Qiao Xian went to the land officer and paid the bill for Ding Erju and his family to settle for the time being. Chapter 259 Fields. Xiao Xian had bought 5 mu of fields. She still needed to build a yard and plant some stuff. Since Ding Erju and his family were here, a simple house could be built first for them to settle down. Qiao Xian needed to make a good plan about how to build the yard. They could have 3 wooden rooms built for his family. Before winter arrived, she was going to have a large house in the huge yard built for Ding Erju and his family, who should be used to the work by that time. Everyone was eating at the Zhang village. Zhang Xiaofeng and Zhang Chunlai came to greet them happily upon hearing the news. It was always Shao Yunduan who dealt with guests. In this era, women were always looked down upon and could not keep control of the situation. For another, Shao Yunduan was the cultivated talent who would subconsciously attract some respect from outsiders. Thirdly, since Shao Yunduan usually had no expression on his face, he looked very intimidating. Shao Yunduan glanced at the couple and greeted them, introducing them to Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou. This is my uncle and aunt-in-law, and they will be living here from today on. They would be in charge of the business here. You know this place well, so please take good care of them. Upon hearing the words, the faces of Zhang Chunlai and the other 3 people changed, especially the 2 women who could not conceal their expressions. Okay, don't worry, boss. Yes, we will definitely take good care of them. When Zhang Xiaofeng and Zhang Chunlai were asked to temporarily watch over the renters, the couple and everyone in their family was really pleased. They were also tenants, but the tenants in charge were different from other renters. Ordinary renters always sucked up to the ones in charge. They even tried to have competition among themselves, trying to find a winner. But they soon realized that they did not have to have competition between themselves anymore, because the boss relatives had appeared in front of them, and they themselves had fallen into the stage of ordinary tenants. They had no way to compete with them. They could just offer some help to this new uncle, who barely had any idea about the situation here. If he could say some good words in front of the boss, then it would be great. As they thought about this, they felt slightly better. Shao Yunduan asked the couple to eat lunch at the land officer's family together. The couple nodded and agreed. Their wives were not supposed to eat along with them, so they said hello and left. After lunch, Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian took Ding Erju, under the guidance of Zhang Chunlai, for the trip to the field, showing the rice cultivation. Crops were farmers' life, and everything related to grain was critical for the tenants throughout the whole year, so everyone took good care of the crops in the land. Qiao Xian had used her superpower to make the crops grow secretly. Though there was no big difference, the rice would definitely grow stronger, better, and not bug-ridden. Those long, soft leaves were dangling, looking really beautiful and radiant, so lively that Qiao Xian felt very satisfied. Soon Qiao Xian bid farewell to Zhang Chunlai and his partner. As she was talking, the 2 of them nodded whilst glancing at Shao Yunduan. Qiao Xian could not help but laugh. In other people's eyes, Shao Yunduan was the real boss whilst she was just the boss wife. Chapter 260 Words. After all, what did women know? Shao Yunduan said, "My wife says that you can go home now since everything here is sorted. All you need to remember is that you have to listen to my wife's orders, and to take care of the fields whilst helping my uncle with the work, and you will be treated well." These words were exactly what Zhang Chunlai and his family needed to hear. Feeling assured, Zhang Chunlai smiled and said some flattering words before leaving politely. Ding Erju let out a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat on his forehead. He laughed bitterly. "Nephew, am I going to be in charge of these tenants? I'm not very sure about it. What if I ruin your business?" "I will, Uncle Erju, don't worry about it." Qiao Xian smiled. "Actually, the tenants take good care of their respective fields. All you need to do is to stay here and guard them in case they cause some trouble. You can leave the rest to the others. If you need anything or run into anything that is not good, just tell us about it." Shao Yunduan nodded. "Yes, what you need is to stay here so that the tenants would be careful about their work. It was their food they were taking care of." Ding Erju felt slightly better and smiled. "Oh, that will work. What Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had not expected was that Ding Erzhu had come up with a different idea. What he interpreted was that he did not need to take care of the fields, because the tenants would take care of the crop themselves, and that what he needed to do was to watch their moves. In case if there were any rows or lack of diligence, tricks etc., he should reveal them to Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan about the strangeness. What they did not expect was that due to Ding Erz's habit of watching the tenants, he got a deep understanding of what those tenants were like, because of which, in future Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan would dodge a huge crisis accidentally. Is this the only thing I need to do? Anything else? Just leave it all to me. Ding Erzhu added. It seemed that he had taken a huge advantage of the couple and that made him feel unbalanced. Xiao Xian thought for a while and smiled. We are going to see the land where the houses are going to be built. If you have time, you can help me work on the land. Ding Erz's eyes sparkled and he smiled. Sure, no problem. Xiao Xian avoided Zhang Chunlai because she was worried that the tenants would keep the secret even if they met them, so they should be kept away. In this way, when Ding Erzhu was introduced to the tenants, Ding Erz's influence would be set up. Otherwise those two people would look like Ding Erz's guides. They met several tenants who talked about their situation. Xiao Xian felt slightly better knowing that nothing serious happened during this period. Later, the three of them went to visit the land they had bought. That land was close to the Zhang village, located at the foot of a mountain which had a few small hills. That was where the house for Ding Erz's family would be built. Xiao Xian gestured with her hands and said that the new house would take up 3 mu and the remaining 2 mu will be the hill, which could be developed into a crop yard. Xiao Xian gave Ding Erzhu 5 liang to settle down, which included the money for building the house. Chapter 261 assured the cooking utensils, rice and flour and daily necessities were bought. They could buy vegetables themselves and also could raise chickens and ducks. In this way they would be able to settle down properly. 5 liang could make them buy a lot. The family could easily live on it for 3 or 4 months. Ding Erzhu did not turn the money down. He had nothing in his hands. Feeling burdened, he sobbed as he held the money in his palm. Nephew and niece-in-law, please count it against our salary. We can't ask you for any more money. Xiao Xian smiled. In that case, count 2 liang out of it as wages. The house building is not counted. When the house is torn down at the end of the year, we can still use the wood. A piece of wood with a width of 30 centimeters and a thickness of 2 centimeters cost less than 20 yuan. 3 taels of silver, including labor and roof, was enough to cover a simple wooden house for their family of 3. Ding Erzhu nodded and agreed. They could start a family and live frugally in that 2 liang. Luckily it was still summer and they did not need to care about heating yet. Xiao Xian decided to pay them 1 liang a month, and with the first 2 months excluded, the salary would be given starting from the 3rd month. Ding Erzhu was startled, saying that it was too much and refused to accept it. Xiao Xian smiled. Just take it. I have a lot of work for you to do in the future. You will know soon. By that time, if you think that I pay you too little, feel free to tell me. Xiao Yunduan added. Please take it. The money isn't much when you realize how much work you need to do. We are paying others on our payroll the same money. Ding Erzhu had to accept it since he failed to turn it down. Okay. But don't worry, I will watch over the fields for you diligently. After Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian left, Ding Erzhu told Ms. Zhou about the money, who cried. I miss my Ding Xiang. She was such a nice child, I wish I had. I had? Ding Erzhu replied with a pale face. It was my fault. Ms. Zhou felt sorry for him and shook her head. No, it is not. Anyway, let's just drop it. The couple sobbed, looking at each other for a while. Xiao Xian felt her heart feel lighter when she was done with this. Zhang Chunlai was not part of her family and she had no time to train her employees. So she hoped that Uncle Erzhu and his wife should be able to do that well on her behalf. After 3 days, Xiao Yunduan would go to the college for discussions with his fellows and teachers. Xiao Xian told him about going into town with him, so she could visit Manager Qin at Mingren Tang to talk about tea leaves and watermelons. Xiao Yunduan did not turn her down, but he still felt quite worried. At that time, you should stay at Mingren Tang and not run about. Manager Qin is our friend and he won't set us up. Feeling warmed, Xiao Xian smiled. Don't worry, I won't wander around. Manager Qin would not be able to set me up so easily. Xiao Yunduan smiled and nodded. The following day, Xiao Xian continued to work on the lipsticks in the floral field. Soon the Yuezheng family should come to fetch the goods. She was going to stop the work of lipsticks after she had 1,200 pieces ready. Qiao Xian did not foresee that Yuezhing Shao would come to the village personally and that Xie Jingrong would be with him too. Chapter 262 Yuezhing Shao. Here Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong took the lipsticks home, but they were not even enough to share with their own families. All of them felt so attracted to the novel things. The lipsticks looked beautiful and were handy to use. There was a small scent of flowers that drew women's attention completely towards it. Young ladies and madams were all so happy to have them. Those who had not gotten anything kept asking the two of them about where to get more of these. They were ready to pay whatever amount. Xie Jingrong had expected that girls would take to this thing, but he had not thought that they would be so attracted by it. He was troubled by his sisters the whole day. He entrusted Yuezhing Shao with the work. It was his business anyway. Yuezhing Shao was both happy and troubled. The way lipsticks were received fell beyond his anticipation. Those ladies were all greedy for the lipsticks and they did not care about the cost. What they wanted was to simply get it. This was going to be a huge business. But Qiao Xian was the supplier, and she needed to be able to give him enough goods. After telling his sisters and his sisters' friends and relatives, Yuezhing Shao used his own money to start the business. He rented the stores, hired workers and booked tubes, as well as followed the secret instructions given by Qiao Xian, trying to keep the whole thing from leaking to anyone. The Yuezhing family was also quite complicated. They had two sections of the family. He ranked third and belonged to the first section of the family. His elder brother was the lineal grandchild of the whole family. But his father ran into an accident 5 years ago, and he was so badly injured that he was still convalescing in the wingyard. His mother was so worried about him that she spent the whole time taking care of him. His elder brother was in charge of the business line in the northwest, and he barely spent any day at home. When the first section of the family was confronted with such a situation, the second section of the family started to get ambitious. Especially when he heard about some gossip from his father's generation. His second aunt-in-law, namely Ms. Mi Jr., was the niece of his grandma Ms. Mi Sr.'s family, but his grandma took her home and hence she grew up with grandma. Ms. Mi Jr. was ambitious and intended to seduce his father, but he turned her down. He told his grandpa about arranging a martial connection for her. Hearing that his father was going to establish a martial arrangement for her, Ms. Mi Jr. took the risk and planned to get herself pregnant. However, his father had always been cautious against her, and did not fall for the trick. However, his second uncle ended up falling in the honey trap. Grandma got so angry that she almost passed away when she knew what happened. Her niece had become a woman who seduced a man, and worse, that man was her son. If she revealed the news to the public, she would be totally humiliated. However, second uncle did not propose marriage to Ms. Mi Jr. But Ms. Mi Jr. tried to convince him, and the couple kneeled down in front of his grandparents, begging for the marriage. But Grandpa turned down Ms. Mi Jr.'s proposal of becoming the lineal wife. She had used a terrible method to come into the family before the lineal son got married, which was quite disgusting. Therefore, Grandpa sent her back to her own family, and arranged a martial arrangement for his father, who married his mother. 3 months after his mother was married to the family, Ms. Mi Jr. managed to become second uncle's wife. His mother had no idea about what she did earlier, and she kept sucking up to her, so his mother treated her true-heartedly. After all, they were sister-in-laws. But disasters happened. They were never on good terms with each other. Ms. Mi Jr. was always in a shadow under his mother, but she knew his grandma well. So she kept serving his grandma and sucking up to her. After a long while, his grandma started to like her more. Chapter 263 Widow's Son. Luckily, her tricks did not work on his mother, except that there was some trouble caused by her. She gave birth to 2 daughters and no son, and after she gave birth to the elder daughter, she did not get pregnant for 3 years. So his grandparents gave second uncle a concubine who soon gave birth to 3 sons. Ms. Mi Jr. got so annoyed that she blamed the first section of the family for causing all her misfortunes. After Grandpa passed away, she kept instigating his grandma to do something. When his father had an accident and his mother took care of him, his elder brother was barely home as he was in the northwest running business. He just did not want to go home and let Ms. Mi Jr. do whatever she wanted. The housekeeper, the accountant-in-chief as well as some important managers were all working for the first section of the family. Ms. Mi Jr. as well as the elder sister-in-law was in charge of food supply, whose account was checked every half a year. Therefore, they would not be out of the first section of the family's control. So, they did not care about the small troubles she caused. His grandma was going to pass away soon, and when she did, they would live separately. Therefore, he had already started to plan his future 2 years ago. He had been running private business these years, and the business was growing very well. After they separated in the future, he was going to integrate the business, which was sure to grow well. Therefore, how the second section of the family did had nothing to do with him. He was so surprised by how the response to the lipsticks turned out. It was going to be a huge business. He was going to open some high-end stores for cosmetics. Feeling bored and attaching great importance to this business, Shao decided to go to the county again personally. He asked Jingrong whether he wanted to come along. Surprisingly, Jingrong agreed, and both of them went onto the wagon and headed out. Shao was very curious why his spontaneous idea was approved by Jingrong. Jingrong did nod at this proposal. The two of them had some pastry, tea leaves and gifts ready and started to head towards Shouting Village. The servants and the coachman had no idea about the way, so they kept asking around. They still needed to ask about where Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian's home was. Xiao's servant, Chu Shan, hopped off the wagon and looked about. Seeing an ant walking not far away, he went up and greeted her. "Please, where is Xiao Yunduan, the cultivated talent's home?" The ant whom Chu Shan asked was none other than Widow Sunday. Hearing that he was asking about Xiao Yunduan, Widow Sun got really furious. But as she turned around and looked at the wagon, she saw Shao and Jingrong. They had lifted the drapery and were looking around, chatting happily. Widow Sun was not standing very close to them, but she still caught a vague look of Shao and Jingrong. These two young masters looked so handsome and rich too. She smiled. "Are you cultivated talent Xiao's friends?" Chu Shan thought for a while and nodded with a smile. "Yes, we are." Widow Sun felt even more jealous. How was Miss Fong lucky enough to get cultivated talent as her son, who had rich friends and even married a rich daughter-in-law? Widow Sun felt so annoyed about Xiao Yunduan. 2 years ago, her daughter Ding Qingqing told her bashfully that she wanted to marry Xiao Yunduan, but Widow Sun had rejected her proposal. At that time, the first section of the Shao family was under the control of the second and third sections of the family, and Xiao Yunduan had not yet made it to cultivated talent, so Widow Sun was not very satisfied with his family. Chapter 264 Hoax. She had not only turned down the idea, but also snapped at her daughter, telling her never to mention it again. Ding Qingqing admired Xiao Yunduan and felt a bit sad about her mother's scolding, but she was an obedient girl, so she dropped the thought. However, Xiao Yunduan became a cultivated talent and the first section of the Shao family got better and better. Widow Sun could not help but feel regretful. Ding Qingqing felt even worse. But he was already married and the mother and the daughter did not mention anything about it anymore. However, the more Widow Sun thought about this, the less she liked Xiao Yunduan and the first section of the Shao family. Widow Sun wished that they would just run into trouble. Seeing these two good-looking and well-dressed rich young masters, Widow Sun came up with an idea and smiled at Chu Shan. "Come with me then." Chu Shan scratched her head and smiled. "You can just tell me where it is, you don't have to be our guide." Widow Sun waved her hand as she smiled. "It is okay, we are good friends with the Shao family, we always help each other." Chu Shan felt that she was a kind-hearted person, so he thanked her and accepted the offer. Chu Shan passed on the message to his own young master and young master Xie. Shao did not think that was a big deal, so he asked his coachman to follow the woman. Widow Sun smiled proudly. She was leading Shao and Jingrong back to her own home. "Come off the wagon, let me tell you a story." Jingrong frowned and asked Widow Sunday, "Aunt, is it the Shao family's home?" "Just get off the wagon first, you two." Widow Sun smiled brightly. She would have grabbed Jingrong and Shao if she had been any closer. "You couldn't have known that the Shao family is going through trouble right now, and it is not very convenient for you to go there. You can have a seat at my place first and I will tell you the details. After that I will fetch Duan here from the Shao family, okay?" "What? Trouble?" Shao and Jingrong were startled. They were so surprised. But they would never think that they ran into someone who did not like the Shao family. Widow Sun added, "Just get off the wagon, young masters. My Duan is very happy to receive you. He will be very happy to see you and he will also be disappointed not to see you. Please come to my house and have some water, I will help you get him here." Widow Sun managed to get Shao and Jingrong off the wagon and walk into the house. She was so happy. Shao and Jingrong had never expected a woman they ran into on the street would make up such lies. So Shao, who was Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's partner, was very anxious. What if something stopped their deal from happening? That would be a horrible thing. Therefore he was definitely going to meet Xiao Yunduan and ask him what was going on so he could offer some help. Widow Sun guided the two men into the yard and called out, "Qingqing, we have guests. Come and serve them tea." Ding Qingqing was busy sewing shawls when she got confused and rushed outside. What guests? As she looked up and saw Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong, Ding Qingqing could not help but feel nervous. She turned shy and lowered her head. Chapter 265 Widow's Son's Plan. These two young masters looked so handsome. She could not help looking at her mother with her heart throbbing. Where did her mother get those guests? Was she trying to make a suitor for her? These two young masters were so good-looking, which one should she say yes to? She was so shy that she did not even dare to look up at them. What are you standing here for? Go and pour the tea. Widow's Son smiled and said passionately, Come young masters, come to the room. Widow's Son did have a plan. Those young masters must have come from rich families, and she was going to make them do something for her. If one of them fell for Qingqing, things would work out. If that did not happen, it was still fine. They would have no evidence about what happened inside the room. If they did not pay her well, they would not be allowed to leave. The reason why Widow's Son dared to set up Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong was because she looked down at Shao Yunduan. In her opinion, these two rich young masters hung out with Shao Yunduan because they were pretty, not because they were really rich, since Shao Yunduan was so poor himself. She looked at the wagon, which was very ordinary, and they only had one page boy with them. These young masters who had only little money were the easiest to take control of. Moreover, they were currently at Shaoding village, and the villagers would always favor her and her daughter. They could not possibly belong to some powerful families. They would definitely have to accept everything they were told under pressure. If these two men had some accident on their trip to Shao Yunduan, then they would definitely hate Shao Yunduan and cut off their friendship with him as well. Definitely. As a result, they would refuse to hang out with him in the future. Widow's Son started to imagine everything in her mind vividly. Ding Qingqing nodded as she tugged her own clothes. She glanced at Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong and ran into the room with a red face. Yuezhing Shao's face changed. He put his hand over Xie Jingrong's wrist and said, Let's leave. The two men turned around and hurried away. Xie Jingrong did not need to be reminded twice. He had noticed the strangeness of this whole thing. They were not innocent young masters. They had met so many curious and strange women. They had thought that rural women were relatively more honest, but after they walked into the yard and found these two women alone, they were worried that they were planning something nefarious, especially judging from the way the older woman was behaving. Hence, they decided to leave directly. They did not want to get involved with something weird. Widow's Son had not even realized what happened, when Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong already went onto the wagon and hurried away. Widow's Son rushed out after them, but the wagon was already far away. You! Widow's Son snapped and stomped her feet. Assholes! Her plan was about to be accomplished when it was ruined. Ding Qingqing was feeling bashful and wondering which young master to pick. She quickly combed her hair, washed her face, and went to pour the tea. However, when she came out with the tray, the two young masters were long gone, so was her mother. Chapter 266 Guest. Ding Qingqing was confused. She put down the tray and rushed out, asking her mother who was coming back into the house. Mom, where are the two young masters? Widow's Son clenched her teeth and shouted angrily. They are gone. Stupid people, just leave them alone. Ding Qingqing. Well, didn't you invite them in? Ding Qingqing was confused. She had thought that they were the suitors her mother had found for her. Confronted with her own daughter, Widow's Son could not help but shout angrily. Just don't mention them ever again. Ding Qingqing. She was angry, shameful, and annoyed. She felt so humiliated that her eyes turned red. All she needed was to find a good suitor, but why was it so difficult? These two good ones were also gone. Seeing that no one was coming after them, Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong let out a sigh of relief. Yuezhing Shao complained to Chu Shan. Look who you found. Chu Shan had no idea what was going on. He said with surprise on his face, Third young master, what is wrong with that ant? Stupid. Yuezhing Shao said angrily, I don't know if there is anything wrong with her, but she only has her daughter with her at home. We men should not just go in randomly. Xie Jingrong added calmly. Men and women should not stay too close to each other. They were alone and they still invited us in. They did not have the right intention. Chu Shan was dumbfounded. Third young master Xie, I did not do that on purpose. I really did not expect that. Just be careful. Yuezhing Shao hit his head on the fan. I will let you go if you continue to be so stupid. Don't. Third young master, I will be much more careful henceforth. Yuezhing Shao snorted. One more problem, you are fired. Okay, no, I want, please. Chu Shan continued to ask around for directions. He found 2 children and asked them. Women could be sneaky and men could have other thoughts, but children would not lie, right? The 2 children did not lie to him. They showed the direction passionately, and the carriage finally arrived at Xiao Yunduan's home. Miss Fang and Lu Yen were alone taking care of the children and doing chores. Miss Fang had not seen anyone like Xie Jingrong and Yuezhing Shao before. They had a different, special air around them, and that made her feel a bit nervous. Lu Yan's eyes widened. She said with surprise, "Young Master Xie and Young Master Yuezhing, what are you doing here?" Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong were a bit hesitant when they saw the house full of women. But hearing what Lu Yan said, they were dumbfounded. "Who are you?" Yuezhing Shao was very confused, wondering who she was. Lu Yan smiled. "I am the maid working for Officer Qiao. I met you at the mansion." "Oh, okay." Both of them felt slightly assured. Maid from Officer Qiao's mansion was here, meaning that she was here with 2nd Mississippi. Then they had come to the right place. Yuezhing Shao smiled. "We are here visiting Xiao Yunduan. Is he at home?" Lu Yan smiled. "Oh, you are visiting him?" "Yes, he is studying in his room. I will fetch him now." Chapter 267 Beneficial Things. Hearing that the 2 men were asking for her son, Miss Fang thought that they were her son's friends he made in town. So she smiled at them and said, "Oh, you are Yunduan's friends. Come in and sit down. Our house is very shabby. Please, young masters, don't blame us for that." "Thanks." "Thank you." Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong exchanged a look and felt assured. That was how people should react to them. This Ms. in front of them looked quite different from the one they met just a while ago. The 2 of them had just sat down when Xiao Yunduan arrived. He was startled too. He went forward and greeted them. They exchanged a few random words when Lu Yen served them tea and retired. Miss Fang took her grandchildren to the yard instead of disturbing their conversation. After a few moments, Yuezhing Shao expressed his intention of coming over. "We're just curious about where you live. Brother Shao, you just don't know how popular lipsticks have become. My sisters, cousins and their friends are all waiting to get some more. Please, Brother Shao, does Mrs. Shao have any more available? We are going to make a huge fortune from it." Yuezhing Shao spoke vividly. Xiao Yunduan finally understood what was going on. He really wondered what these 2 young masters were doing here all of a sudden. They needed the lipsticks. But hearing what Yuezhing Shao said, Xiao Yunduan was very happy that the lipsticks were so well received. He even felt slightly proud. That was something his wife had invented. Her invention had made the ladies in the town so obsessed about it. His wife was really capable. She was excellent. Xiao Yunduan nodded with a smile. "Ever since we separated last time, my wife has been busy making lipsticks with her sister-in-laws and sisters. She counted a couple of days ago, and has around 1,000 available currently." Yuezhing Shao cheered. "That is great." He had thought that they would get at most 500 or 600, 800 being the upper limit. But they had managed to make 1,000 lipsticks. That was beyond their anticipation. The 2nd Miss of the Qiao family, Mrs. Shao, was really capable. Before he came to this place, he even thought about providing some trustworthy servants and maids for Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian to help them with the work. But it seemed that the help was not needed. Yuezhing Shao laughed with a smile. "Brother Shao, I want them all." Xiao Yunduan smiled. "Sure, but please, young Master Yuezhing, do remember not to reveal the source of the lipsticks to anyone." Xiao Yunduan was not worried about the other sections of the family because Qiao Xian's industry could not be copied by either of them. But he was worried about County Magistrate Qiao and Madame Qiao. Yuezhing Shao came to their door personally and asked for the supply politely, only because the lipsticks were very popular and produced large profits. No one would refuse to get involved with any profitable business. He wasn't sure about the county magistrate, but if Madame Qiao knew that his wife was able to make so much money, she would never leave her alone. Yuezhing Shao knew clearly what those people were up to. He said calmly, "Don't worry, Brother Shao, I remember it well. I will tell my servants never to reveal a thing. And don't call me young Master Yuezhing, just call me Brother Yuezhing instead." Chapter 268 Not enough. Apart from doing business with them, Yuezhing Shao found that Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were good people to get on with. They were worth being friends with. Startled, Xiao Yunduan nodded. "Okay, greetings, Brother Yuezhing." "Greetings." The 3 of them exchanged a few words before Xiao Xian returned. Yuezhing Shao's eyes were sparkling as he asked politely how big the production number was. Xiao Xian smiled. "Young Master Yuezhing, you can take away 1,200 lipsticks. The roses are no longer blooming, but other flowers can replace them. We will make 500 more next month. But have you got any lipstick tubes with you? Shao nodded and then showed the box to Xiao Xian, asking her to take it. I asked for a special design, what do you think? Then he offered Xiao Xian some special tools that she had asked him to find. He smiled. I have completed my mission. I hope you can be satisfied, Mrs. Shao. Seeing the jade-made jars and all tools including the pestle, small hand mill, large and small beakers, funnels, filter utensils, Xiao Xian smiled. Thanks, young Master Yuezhing, you have done very well. Yuezhing Shao smiled. Great. Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong both understood that they made the lipsticks in the floral fields, which should be their business secret, so neither of them proposed to visit there. Yuezhing Shao said in a joking tone that he did not need to worry about lipsticks, and that he could sell as many as he wanted. He just wondered whether she wanted to expand the scale. Xiao Xian shook her head and turned down the proposal. She did not think that it was time yet. It wasn't a very easy thing. Her superpower would urge the flowers to bloom, but if that was going to be a big business, she needed to stay away so that the business chain could develop well. For example, she needed a lot of staff to work on the whole process, which would cause a lot of trouble and which was not something she was able to do right now. Yuezhing Shao said nothing more, though he felt that it was a pity. He just told her that she should pay attention to the news, and could just buy a few maids to work for her so that the production could be increased some more. She shouldn't be restricted to her own family members. Also, she could not hire someone who was outside her control to do the work, otherwise the business secret would be revealed. That was really a neutral suggestion which Xiao Xian had thought about as well. She expressed her gratitude. But she knew that it was not the right time yet. She needed to wait until Shao Yunduan passed the next level of the imperial exam. Please, God and Buddha, please, let her husband pass the next level in the year to come. She figured that Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong would stay back for lunch. So while Shao Yunduan chit-chatted with them, Xiao Xian asked Lu Yen to help her cook some food. It was a hot day, and Xiao Xian decided to make some light dishes to serve an elegant young master like Xie Jingrong. She would avoid making chili chicken or boiled fish. He would not be used to this kind of taste. Xiao Xian hoped that the two young masters would have a good impression of her home. Chapter 269. Broad-minded brother Xiao Xian thought for a while, and instructed Lu Yen to kill the chicken. She went to the flower field to pick some wolfberry sprouts, and then to the vegetable yard to get some fresh loofah and beans. She also dug out some yams from the cellar, cut a handful of leeks and went home. She made Lu Yen wash them all. Then she went to the yard to pick 2 large round watermelons and let them soak in the spring water. She picked some egg-sized tomatoes. The two young masters were lucky. Even she herself had not eaten the ripe tomatoes yet. For lunch, she stewed chicken with boletus and Hericium arenaceus, and battered the crucian carp with a thin layer of paste and fried it in oil. After that, there were many small river prawns that were braised and baked 2 days ago. In the meanwhile, there was steamed mandarin fish, scrambled eggs with tomatoes and loofah soup. Beans, wolfberry sprouts and yams were all served as cold dishes. She cut the beans into pieces about 2 inches long, blanched them and placed them on a plate neatly, sprinkled some salt and drizzled them with sesame oil. Wolfberry sprouts were also mixed with sesame oil, salt and vinegar after being blanched. Some seasoning and scallion slices were added to yams and wooden ears, after being blanched. It was a table full of meat and vegetable dishes. The meat dishes were clean and bright, whilst the vegetable dishes were fresh and tender. For a farmer's family, it was an extremely good lunch. Yuezhing Shao felt a bit bored. After being seated for too long, he went around in the yard and Shao Yunduan kept him company. Yuezhing Shao laughed when he saw the spring in the backyard. Brother Shao, you are really excellent to have got the spring. It is fun to watch. Shao Yunduan smiled. He didn't think that it was fun, just handy to use. Not far away from the spring, there was a half-man tall tank that drew their attention. Yuezhing Shao went forward and his eyes widened. So many fish. You have kept so many kinds of fish which even I don't know about. Xie Jingrong also had a look and found it amazing. He could not help but feel gratified. Yeah. I have never seen these many varieties of fish. That was true. He was a young master who had either seen the goldfish or carps, or fish being served as food. He had never seen these many kinds of strange fish that were swimming in the tank. Shao Yunduan said, "My brother got the fish from the river. We keep them alive till we can't finish them. If we feel like eating one, we will get one out and make a dish of it." That is cool. Look at the hopping fish. They must taste really good. Brother Shao, your home is fun. Yuezhing Shao could not help but feel a bit envious. Xie Jingrong raised his eyebrows and walked towards a wall. He was looking at the pots of orchids on the shabby wooden shelf in full concentration. Yuezhing Shao was attracted. Wow, these are orchids, they're so lively too. Vividly growing. Xiao Yunduan smiled. These are brought from the mountains. They look beautiful, so they were planted here. Xie Jingrong sighed. Brother Shao, you are so broad-minded. These are not ordinary orchids. These two pots are spring swords. This is the plain lotus tripod. This and this look like spring swords, but they are different, and here are the jade orchid and mullein, but they are not exactly the same. Should be a variant, I believe. Brother Shao, spring swords and plain lotus tripods are really difficult to get. These variants are so rare. Not many people are able to get one variant for one single plant throughout their whole life. Brother Shao, your flowers are worth a lot of money, judging from the leaves, shapes and colors. Chapter 270 Her Superpower. Ah! Xiao Yunduan was dumbfounded. Elegant scholars love to investigate orchids, but Xiao Yunduan was too poor to have developed such a money-spending hobby. But he had some knowledge of the topic. He had learned about precious orchids. He had also heard of the kinds that Xie Jingrong mentioned. He knew that those were expensive orchid varieties. Even Dean Meng, Mr. Wu and Mr. Zhou did not possess such expensive orchids. They loved orchids and had raised a few pots. But those were just ordinary or mid-level kinds. They loved those flowers deeply. Xiao Yunduan also understood that variants of precious orchids were even more valuable. Just as what Xie Jingrong said, they were a rarely seen breed. But how did he run into so many precious flowers? That was so strange. With his eyes on the orchids, he could not help but feel a bit shocked. Brother Xie, are those orchids really? Yuezhing Shao laughed and patted his shoulders. Brother Shao, he would never be wrong about it. He has many floral houses where orchids are kept, and has more than 20 to 30 kinds that belong to the first-class categories. Xiao Yunduan. Brother Shao. Yuezhing Shao laughed. What about selling me a few pots? I will pay you well, please give some to me. Yuezhing Shao did not understand much about the orchids, but he understood clearly that those were good things as presents. When those orchids were sold to some officers and noble people, his reputation would definitely rise and the receivers would be glad to have them. Xie Jingrong thought for a while and said, Brother Shao, if it is okay, could I get 2 pots too? I want one variant of jade orchid and one variant of ink orchid. If the variant of spring sword can be given to me, that is fine too. Yuezhing Shao smiled. Brother Xie, that is more than 2 pots. Xie Jingrong ignored him but looked at Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan was a bit hesitant. He smiled. My wife is taking care of the flowers here, I need to talk with her. Also, we are friends, the price is totally negotiable. He could give the pots to them if they belonged to him, but he needed to ask Xiao Xian first. Yuezhing Shao could not wait but urged him to ask her. Xiao Yunduan smiled and turned to find Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian got a bit shocked when she heard the news. She could not help but feel emotional. How did that happen? But that was probably because she had the superpower. Her superpower helped her to find the precious categories. Then the superpower helped her grow the orchids and turn them into variants. Some turned excellent and some turned bad. All of them were valuable, but some were worth nothing. Really valuable. Therefore, Xiao Xian would use her superpower to make the orchids better so that the flowers would turn precious. So, the flowers in her space must be far more precious. Chapter 271 Shocked, the couple exchanged some thoughts and found that they both had the same idea. The orchids were valuable, but it had cost them almost nothing to get them. So they decided to give 1 pot to each of the 2 young masters. If they wanted to have more, they could sell them at most 2 pots respectively at a proper price. Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan. I never expected that orchids could be so valuable in the mountains. We can go and fetch some more if we get time. Xiao Yunduan smiled, fearing that she would get disappointed if she failed to find any more. These aren't vegetables in the garden, how can they be found so easily? It is our luck to have found these orchids. If it is very easy to find them, people could have gotten them earlier. That was a reasonable thing to say. Xiao Xian nodded with a smile. She put forward a slight look of disappointment. Yeah, you are right. She could not possibly reveal her superpower, nor could she do anything big to tell others that she could turn the orchids into expensive and valuable varieties. She could not explain everything with just luck. However, on the positive side, this basically meant that she had one more industry to develop. She could build an orchid base to cultivate new variants and promote some for auction. That meant keeping a low profile. Also, those things needed to stay rare so they could be valuable. The more there were, the less they would cost. She needed to hold an auction so the goods could look valuable. Shao Yunduan expressed his ideas and Yuezhing Shao, Xie Jingrong picked one pot respectively and bought two more. Yuezhing Shao decided to take them home as back presents, while Xie Jingrong bought them out of his own hobby. The two men did not hesitate at all. Shao Yunduan had so many here. Also, Shao Yunduan did not seem to be interested in the flowers either, so they were assured that they could take them home. They would not have wanted to take them if Shao Yunduan was unwilling to share. They gave them 1,000 liang. That was the market price. Shao Yunduan accepted the money since they picked what they wanted very fast. Soon, Qiao Xian had lunch ready and asked the three men to gather at the table. Shao Sanlang and Shao Dalong were both home, and when they saw the honored guests, they felt quite nervous. They greeted each other and left. At lunch, Shao Yunduan kept Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong company at one table, whilst the others were eating at another. The table in the kitchen was very small, and Shao Sanlang as well as Shao Dalong ate in the backyard with food. They did not mind the treatment. They did not want to share the table with Shao Yunduan and the two young masters. Seeing the table full of food, Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong were shocked. They had eaten all kinds of expensive dishes, but they were shocked to have been presented with such a large table of dishes within a short period of time. Especially those cold dishes. The snow-white yam slices and fungus were distinct in black and white, and they were very crisp and refreshing at first glance. The wolfberry buds were green and refreshing, the beans were green, and the sesame paste was glistening on top, which instantly made it look attractive. Chapter 272 Golden Sprout. There was also stewed chicken with mushrooms, which was fragrant and not greasy at all. Braised Crucian carp was cooked with a thin layer of gravy. The color was bright red, looking very tempting. Loofah soup tasted light. There was also a plate of scrambled eggs, golden and glistening red, pleasing to the eye, and it smelt a little sweet and sour, which made people feel like devouring it immediately. Yuezhing Shao could not help but admire and respond with a smile. Mrs. Shao made all of these, right? Brother Shao, you are so lucky. Hearing the words, Shao Yunduan felt very pleased. My wife is very good at cooking, please eat. Okay, I just can't wait. Please? Xie Jingrong kept praising the food during the entire time, and Xie Jingrong, who was rarely talkative, agreed with Yuezhing Shao. They could not help but feel emotional. How could a rude person like County Magistrate Qiao have such a smart, wonderful daughter? Moreover, County Magistrate Qiao had no idea about this at all. He would have regretted deeply if he had known about this. They had never eaten tomato with scrambled eggs before, and Yuezhing Shao could not help but ask, after he had a taste of the fresh and sour dish. Shao Yunduan had once watered the plants, so he said, My wife brought this plant home from a wild field. She calls it tomatoes. Yuezhing Shao asked Shao Yunduan to get some more for his own garden at home. Shao Yunduan smiled. I will talk about this with my wife. Yuezhing Shao laughed and teased. You are so much fun. Okay, you can talk about this. Xie Jingrong smiled and admired Shao Yunduan. Very few people respected their wife in this way. After lunch, Lu Yen and Yang Xiaoni came to clean up the table, whilst in the kitchen, Qiao Xian and Tao Tao boiled some water and made some new tea to serve them. Qiao Xian brought out the tea leaves she had taken home. After a few times they had continued to process tea leaves at home. Tea leaves could be sold too, and the leaves should not be wasted. Therefore, when Miss Fang asked Lu Yen to serve them the tea, she used the rough leaves. But when Qiao Xian served them, she offered the tea that had an amber-yellow tinge. Xie Jingrong and Yuezhing Shao's expressions changed as they smelled it. Yuezhing Shao took a sip and turned to Xie Jingrong with surprise. Brother Xie, please take a sip and tell me. Am I confused or something? How can this taste so much like golden sprout? Golden sprout? Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan exchanged a look between themselves and she smiled. That seems like a nice name. Xie Jingrong tasted the tea, slowly put down the teacup and gave Shao Yunyun and Qiao Xian a complicated look. This is definitely golden sprout, absolutely right. Is this what you found in the mountains? Unfortunately, it is not a good way to fry it. It is slightly jerky. The tea leaves are also a little browned, the color is not correct, and the fragrance is not fully soaked. But it is first-class tea, and the well-processed golden sprout would cost at least 40 liang per half a kilo. Yuezhing Shao could not help but feel speechless. Brother Shao, you really have everything. The tea leaves you offer are so expensive and rare. Chapter 273 Tryout. Xiao Xian was shocked. So, valuable? Xiao Yunduan was taken aback too. We found them in the mountains. They smelled nice, so we brought some home for processing. But how could this be golden sprout? It wasn't a very commonly heard name either. Xiao Xian had some knowledge of other categories like Longjing of West Lake, Biluakun of Dongting and others. But she had never heard of golden sprout. Xiao Xian's eyes sparkled. She smiled. Let me serve you another kind of tea. They knew what golden sprout was, then they might even have some idea of what this one was. Therefore, when Yuezhing Shao, Xie Jingrong and Xiao Yunduan were talking about golden sprout, Xiao Xian came with 3 other kinds of tea with a smile. She said, please have some tea. Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong became quite curious. Yuezhing Shao had the teacup in his hands, smiling. I don't think there is any other tea that can be better than golden sprout. Good tea leaves are very difficult to find. Yuezhing Shao's eyes widened as he took a couple of sips. Lavender, this is lavender tea. Brother Xie, do you agree with me? Xie Jingrong gazed at him and nodded. He was even more shocked, but he looked calmer. Yes, this is lavender. You are truly lucky. Xie Jingrong did not believe them first, but by this point he had to believe that they were lucky. Xiao Yunduan smiled. My brother Xiaoqi likes going into the mountains and he is a good hunter. We wanted to get some mountain stuff and happened to run into the tea leaves accidentally. Lavender, the tea leaves are first-class ones too? Yuezhing Shao sipped some more and said with some obsession in his voice, of course, lavender is more expensive than golden sprout. Well-processed lavender can cost at least 100 liang, half a kilo. Xiao Yunduan. They almost ruined the treasure. They processed the tea leaves from the iron pot in their kitchen. Xiao Xian sat down next to Xiao Yunduan, smiled. Young Master Yuezhing, are you interested in tea leaves business? Yuezhing Shao's eyes sparkled as he turned to Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian continued. When we came home the other day from the mountains, we did not only get some tea leaves home. Since the leaves smelled so great, we also brought some buds with us. Those buds are all growing well. If you like it, what about? Of course I want it. Yuezhing Shao nodded in agreement even before she finished her words. But the 2 kinds of tea leaves aren't very easy to plant. If you want to do it, you need to make some efforts. Yuezhing Shao reminded her in an implied way. Good tea leaves could be hard to plant. It is fine, let's try. If we make it, we all benefit from it. If not, then we can drop it. What do you think? Xiao Xian had suspected that would happen. Easily planted tea leaves could be seen everywhere. These were expensive because they were rare. Especially lavender, which cost 100 liang, half a kilo. That was a lot of money. Xiao Yunduan smiled. If you want to have a try, let's do it. Yuezhing Shao smiled. Okay, it's a deal. Chapter 274 More jealousy. You can do the planting. Anyways, we don't have any golden sprouts and lavender in our province, and they are rarely seen in the southwest too. If the planting goes well, I can surely sell however much you have. Xiao Xian smiled. Okay, but I have one condition. Young Master Yuezhing, please find me a good tea leaves processor. Of course, otherwise we would ruin the best tea leaves. Yuezhing Shao nodded and could not help but look at the tea leaves in his cup, feeling a bit concerned. A good stir-processed lavender had slender and compact strands, and the color was purple and black. The brewed tea was crystal clear with a hint of purple, very beautiful, with a sweet taste in the mouth and a long aftertaste. More interestingly, the scent varied depending on the water temperature, the fire temperature. There could be various kinds of scents coming out of the tea leaves, the scent of roses, beans, fresh olives, herbs, chestnuts, grass and so on. Unfortunately, tea leaves were difficult to process and fry, even harder to breed. Therefore, the production was always so small. Much smaller than that of golden sprout. The 2 sides worked on the deal and decided to finalize the contract in detail. They could not finish the work within 1 day. The tea leaves would need more than a couple of days to come into existence. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan needed to have a talk about how to continue. Yuezhing Shao was glad. He believed that it was a trip worth the while. He trusted Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, so when they claimed that they could do that, they would definitely make the tea leaves grow well. Xie Jingrong could not help but ask, can we take a look at the tea leaves' buds? He had drunk the tea, but he had never seen what the tea trees looked like. Yuezhing Shao was also motivated. He smiled and nodded. What about us checking it out together? He looked at Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. What else do you have? What about sharing them with us together so we can have a look at them? They were getting really jealous of what this couple had. Xiao Xian laughed and exchanged a look with Xiao Yunduan. We have 2 or 3 mews of watermelons, very sweet. What about having a taste of them? We also have 30 bee boxes and a lot of honey at home. It is really good and we can give you 2 jars each when you leave. She had many other good things too, like the jelly, the rose and jasmine oil, gardenia oil and so on. But she decided to leave them for later. She had already created too many surprises today for them to accept. She was going to release the good things little by little. For real. Yuezhing Shao's eyes widened. Xie Jingrong could not help but feel really surprised too. Yuezhing Shao had been joking, but Xiao Xian did give him an answer. Of course. Xiao Xian blinked and smiled. Xiao Yunduan smiled too. Soon Lu Yan carried the watermelon into the room and Yuezhing Shao was shocked. What a big watermelon. Brother Shao, you really have watermelons? Xiao Yunduan smiled. Yes, we dug the buds from the mountains and they grew well. This is more than well. It is excellent. We rarely see watermelons of this size. Look at the color, it should taste great. Yuezhing Shao sighed and found that he was getting a bit numb in head. Xie Jingrong felt the same. His family had watermelon fields that produced fruits in summer, but they never had much yield. Chapter 275. Worth the while. Every year in summers, only those with important status in the mansion would be able to get a few, and concubines as well as disgraced children of concubines would normally get at most one. Watermelons were the best fruit for summer, and those at the mansion loved it. So did he, though he did not have much knowledge about farming. Watermelons were never large in number because it was never easy to take care of the fruit. The watermelons would not grow well due to the constant heavy rain in May and June. Therefore there were very few watermelons that were available every year. The Shao family had offered 2 very well-grown watermelons of a large size and it seemed that they did not think that those were precious. That surprised Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong. When the watermelon was cut open, the sweetness was all over the place. Xiao Xian asked Lu Yan to serve some slices to Miss Fang and Xiao Dalong whilst telling the 2 young masters to have a taste. Try and see if our watermelons taste sweet. We all think it is quite sweet. Seeing the juicy and red flesh, Yuezhing Shao could not wait but take a bite of it. The juice went in his mouth and gave him a wonderful feeling. Yuezhing Shao ate and said, "It tastes much better than the watermelons at my home. Brother Shao, you have so much treasure at home, I would like to have 2 when I leave." Everyone laughed. Xiao Xian smiled. Sure, we have so many in the yard. That was true. They had found the buds from the mountain, and everyone in the family was already used to seeing them grow so vividly. At first they believed that these were rare things, but now the family treated them just as ordinary fruits. Moved, Yuezhing Shao smiled. If the watermelons are all in this size and taste this good, they can sell well in the town. Brother Shao and Mrs. Shao, how many more do you have? Can we fill 2 wagons with watermelons and take them away? They would arrive in the town by evening if they departed early in the morning. They could sell the watermelons early next morning. It was going to be a good business day. Although 2 wagons of watermelons would give Yuezhing Shao very little profit, these watermelons would definitely be well loved in this season of the year. Also, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had so much treasure and they should establish some friendship so as to strengthen their business ties. Seeing the watermelons growing bigger and better, Xiao Xian was also thinking about what to do with them. She smiled with joy. In a couple of days we are going to have many watermelons ready. 2 wagons are definitely no problem. Young Master Yuezhing, you have solved the problem for us. I was going to let Manager Qin help me sell them. Yuezhing Shao laughed. Our trip is totally worth the while. It's a deal then. I will vet someone to fetch the watermelons in 3 DAV _ what a haunt 2 iron for 1 watermelon? They had no scale at that time and it was difficult to weigh them. So when Yuezhing Shao said so, Xiao Xian agreed readily. 3 qin for 1 watermelon was way beyond what she had planned. Xiao Xian nodded happily. The 4 of them talked for a while, after which Xiao Xian handed over the 1,200 lipsticks to Yuezhing Shao. She also gave 10 lipsticks to Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong respectively as gifts. Chapter 276. Low-Profile Translator. Henyi Translation's 1,200 lipsticks were worth 2,400 liang. Xiao Xian accepted the money and for a while she felt a bit dizzy in her head. She had turned so rich instantly. When Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong left, they were given some first-class tea leaves, 2 bottles of honey and 4 big watermelons. Not to forget the orchids. As the wagon left the village, Yuezhing Shao looked at the wagon filled with stuff, laughing emotionally. These are all good things. How can the Shao family have so many good things? The trip is totally worth the while. Xie Jingrong added. In hindsight, we offered them very few presents. We will make it up to them later. Yuezhing Shao nodded. Yes, we should. The Shao family was lucky to have these two people. Shao Yunduan, for example, was quite learned and well-mannered. He was going to have a bright future, they believed. They spoke for a while and found the Shao family getting more interesting. Xie Jingrong whispered to himself that when Shao Yunduan made it to the next level of the imperial exam, the Shao family would definitely get more and more promising. After they left, Shao Yunduan gave 2,000 liang to Qiao Xian. They had earned 4,400 liang within a day. As the notes were held in their hands, they felt really motivated. Qiao Xian smiled. We have some savings now. However, this amount of money was not enough to counter her father. So they still had to remain low-profiled. Qiao Xian gave 200 liang to Ms. Fang. She accepted it and smiled. This is great. I have got enough savings now. After the autumn harvest, we will rebuild our house so you can all have a better place. That sounds great. Qiao Xian's eyes sparkled and she smiled. Mom, you are so considerate. We have money now and we can build a bigger and better place. Then we can all have a happy life. Ms. Fang smiled. Yes, the house has to be very big. In a couple of years when you all have children, the house is going to be bustling. Startled, Qiao Xian agreed. But she felt a bit unsure. Her third brother and third sister-in-law were so much in love with each other and they should have a child very soon. But she and Shao Yunduan were a bit different. Qiao Xian did not want to divorce Shao Yunduan because she liked the Shao family. Moreover, she liked Shao Yunduan in particular. Although her father-in-law was not clear in mind, he did not affect her much. Moreover, her mother-in-law always took her side. That flaw was not so bad. Also, there was never a perfect thing in the world. She was quite satisfied with the family she was in now. But she wondered what her husband thought of her. If he did not hate her, they could just live together forever, right? When Miss Su and everyone else returned, Qiao Xian gave them 10 liang respectively, telling them that the lipstick sold well and they were all going to get a bonus. Miss Su thanked her happily. Yang Xiaoni was so shocked and glad to receive so much money. She smiled brightly and asked repeatedly, Are you sure this is for me? Are you sure? She laughed like an idiot. Miss Su could not help but roll her eyes inwardly. Her third sister-in-law was so dumb. Chapter 277. Annoyed Xiao Xian gave Shao Xiaoqi and Shao Taotao 100 liang respectively. But for their company into the mountains, they would not have obtained such great tea leaves like golden sprout and lavender. Shao Xiaoqi and Shao Taotao knew that fifth sister-in-law was very generous. So, they accepted the money and thanked her gratefully, adding the money to their personal savings. Thinking that Yuezhing Shao would send his men to fetch the watermelons in 3 days' time, Qiao Xian took out some time to visit the garden and help the fruits to grow with her superpower, so that the watermelons could grow better and faster. In the town, Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong reached the hotel around 4, when the guards presented an invitation to them. County Magistrate Qiao's man, strategist Liu, had given it to them. The invitation was asking them to have dinner at Yanhe restaurant. Both of them got really annoyed. Yuezhing Shao smiled. Officer Qiao is quite quick to find our whereabouts. Xie Jingrong shivered a little, asking, Did he know where we have been? The guard at the hostel said, No. I just told them that you were out having fun. The two of them were out for fun. Officer Qiao would not suspect that. Nor would Officer Qiao get someone to follow them about. Good. Yuezhing Shao's face changed. I think we should be careful about sending our men to Shaoding village. Xie Jingrong nodded. They knew about the battle inside the mansion. If they knew that they were good friends with Qiao Xian, she and her family would not have a peaceful life in the future. Both Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were so good at making money, which was an important secret to keep. They regarded them as friends, so they should not cause them trouble. Yuezhing Shao cast away the invitation, smiling lazily. Since Officer Qiao is providing us with free dinner, we will be there. He will continue to ask us to be at the dinner, since he is the officer of this place. The Yuezhing family were running businesses, large and noble businesses. They were good friends with some generals in the northwest. Yuezhing Shao did not care about a small person like Officer Qiao. That was why he could not respect this person. Also, Officer Qiao was not that worthy of the respect either. Xie Jingrong frowned slightly and accepted the invitation, thinking that it made sense. In the evening, the two of them went to Yanhe restaurant for dinner. Officer Qiao, County Officer Zhang, Strategist Liu, Dean Meng from Minghua College as well as two rich young masters from the local area received the two of them warmly. Seeing the oil-filled dishes at the table, Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong could not help but think of the lunch they had at the Shao family, which was fresh and full of taste, much better than the dishes in front of them. Officer Chiao was so generous that Xie Jingrong and Yuezhing Shao had to deal with him with half a heart. Officer Chiao asked what they were doing and if he could offer some help. He did not think that they were here to only have fun. He had missed the chance to suck up to them last time when they were seeking Chinese fleeceflower root. Now that the chance came again, he could not afford to drop it. That made the two of them feel even more annoyed. They just said something randomly to get rid of the man. Yuezhing Shao was thinking that they should be very cautious about hanging out with the Shao family. The following day, Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong had two more sets of expensive presents prepared and sent them to Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian with a thank you note. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were both very surprised. The two young masters were simply too well-mannered. Chapter 278. Mistakes. The presents included cubulos, wild ginseng, silk, brocade and several boxes of delicate cakes. That counted up to more than a dozen gift boxes. Miss Fong kept laughing but with guilt. The two young masters are just so generous. So generous. Xiao Xian understood the rules of the big mansions. She gave a few red packets with money inside to the coachman and the two staff. The three of them had not expected that they would receive red packets from a family in the countryside. They all laughed happily and developed good feelings towards the Shao family. The guy also told Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian that in a couple of days later, their young master would get some people to fetch the watermelons and that they would arrive at dawn, hoping that they could open the door for them. Xiao Yunduan nodded. Many people already spotted the honored guests that visited the first section of the Shao family the day before, and more people witnessed the presents today. Some people were even craning their necks out to see what was inside. Seeing that they were giving presents to the first section of the Shao family, they could not help but feel jealous. They are blooming. So great that they have married a good daughter-in-law. Yunduan is excellent too. What if he passes the next level of the imperial exam next year? Then it would be more than just rich people who came to visit the Shao family. True. Wow. Widow Sun also witnessed the familiar wagon and could not help but follow up. She was also among those who gossiped. Hearing those words, Widow Sun felt both jealous and angry. She pursed her lips and snorted, walking away. She would never admit that she was regretful not to have approved of the marriage with the Shao family in the past. If she had known that Xiao Yunduan was so good and had befriended so many rich people, she would have loved to establish a marriage relationship with them. But she soon pressed down this idea. She did not want to admit that she regretted it. He is just a cultivated talent, and he will not make it to recommended man. It is not so easy to go to the next level. He is just dreaming. Widow Sun felt much better after consoling herself. Seeing Ms. Niu coming towards her, she suddenly came up with an idea, laughing. Your nephew, cultivated talent Shao, has become quite successful. Two rich young masters visited their home the day before. Today they sent him so many presents. 10 boxes. They could not even carry them home with 4 arms. Honestly, I understood into the two young masters yesterday, and they looked so handsome and well-dressed. They are definitely not from ordinary families. Widow Sun winked and elbowed Ms. Niu, asking with a small, smiling tone. Your Miling is old enough to get married, right? Why not ask your nephew for help? You are relatives and she can marry someone handsome. If you miss it, that would be pitiful. Widow Sun wished that she could get her own daughter to marry one of them, but she realized that she was incapable of doing so. Unless the two of them came to the village again and she got another chance to do so. She had just had a fight with Miss Fong, who would never introduce such great young men to her daughter. But she could still vent her anger, if she could make Ms. Niu pester her to do so. Chapter 279. Interested, she was putting forward a good idea to Ms. Niu. Ms. Niu was also very concerned about Xiao Miling's marriage, so she was quite moved after hearing that. Really? Tell me exactly what is going on? Those who could give large presents to the Shao family should not have come from a bad family. When Ms. Niu heard about the gifts from Widow Sun, she soon had very greedy thoughts. But then she pressed down the idea. She understood clearly what was going on right now. Miss Fong was too tough in her stance to share anything. Ms. Niu was very motivated to meet the two rich young masters. Even if she did not like Xiao Yunduan, she had to admit that Xiao Yunduan was a cultivated talent, and he should be hanging out with people from above-average families. If the two young masters were rich and handsome as Widow Sun said, then any of them would be quite suitable to become her son-in-law. That should not be troublesome for the first section of the family. Xiao Yunduan and Miss Fang should offer some help, right? They had to. Hearing that Ms. Niu was interested in her idea, Widow Sun became smug and started to brag more and more. She described Yuejing Shao and Xie Jingrong as special existences, who offered presents and came to visit them personally. She surmised that they should definitely be in a good relationship with Xiao Yunduan. That would make everything easy for Ms. Niu. Hearing that, Ms. Niu got so happy though she kept denying the possibility. I am not sure, but if it works as you said, I will invite you for the wedding. Sure, I will definitely want to be at the wedding. The two women exchanged a look and laughed. Widow Sun kept bitching about Ms. Niu inwardly. This woman was so greedy. Why couldn't she realize the simple fact that rich young masters would not marry any countryside girls as the wife, even though Xiao Yunduan was their friend? Also, Miss Fang would never make her wish come true. Ms. Niu hurried home and talked with second uncle about this. Second uncle was quite motivated as well. In their opinions, Xiao Yunduan was cultivated talent and he had a promising future. Qiao Xian was Officer Qiao's daughter and their niece-in-law. So with these two as mediators, there should be a high possibility of getting their daughter to marry one of Xiao Yunduan's friends. But they had to tell the elder uncle about it first. Therefore, when eldest uncle asked Xiao Yunduan if the guests were engaged, Xiao Yunduan was totally startled. In fact, both Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were shocked. What were second aunt and second uncle thinking? They did not know where the two young masters were from, but they should realize that Xiao Meiling was not a match for any of them. Miss Fang screamed. The couple is crazy, right? How dare they say things like this? Meiling is not a match for either of them. Eldest uncle was displeased. Meiling is your niece and your face will also lift if she marries well. How can you demean her like this? Miss Fang rolled her eyes. Damn. Honestly, her own Tao Tao was better than that girl and she had plenty of dowry to take along, still she never thought about marrying her to a rich family. They were not from the same background and if she married into such a family, she would be humiliated and looked down upon by relatives and friends. That would not be good for her. She could find a down-to-earth farmer and with dozens of good fields and a lot of money. With that, they would probably have a happy life together. Chapter 280, A Try Dad. Xiao Yunduan could not help but sigh and shake his head. Please let second uncle and second aunt drop the idea. Those two young masters. He was not going to tell him where Yuejing Shao and Xie Jingrong were really from. What if the news spread and reached Officer Qiao? That would be so troublesome. They are cultivated talents and from rich families. Moreover, in all likelihood, their parents have already arranged the marriage for them. I don't know whether they are engaged but they are just my ordinary friends. How can I ask them about this? Allos, the two families don't match at all. Miss Fang sneered. True. Some people just don't understand who they are and keep adding trouble to others. Yunduan has made some good friends and if they don't hang out with Yunduan because of this embarrassing thing, he will lose important contacts. Let me tell you, if you ruin Yunduan's future, I will hate you forever. Eldest uncle frowned. I am not this kind of person, okay? I was just asking. Since they already have marriage plans, we can drop it, of course. Also, we need to have both parties satisfied before taking it further. But Meiling is also your niece, how can you look down at her? Can't you just say something good about her? She is at the age of getting married. Why can't you be nice to her? Miss Fang rolled her eyes. Okay, she is good as long as she doesn't ruin my son, then she can do whatever she wants. You. Eldest uncle glared. Second uncle and Ms. Niu got annoyed as they heard the hesitant answer. Eldest brother, so whether or not those two young masters are not engaged is not certain, right? Why not mention the matter to them? What if either of them like Meiling? Yeah. Our Meiling is beautiful and diligent. Why can't she be a match? Just give it a try, okay? Eldest brother, you want Meiling to marry into a good family, right? If we lose this chance, we won't get any better ones. We can just try. All you need to do is ask what if they come together? We will be grateful to you forever. Yeah. Second uncle and Ms. Niu kept begging eldest uncle, who became really annoyed. He wanted to promise them, but he did not want to make a decision on behalf of Xiao Yunduan, so he answered briefly and hurried off. Ms. Niu snapped and sneered. Eldest brother is always talking about beautiful things, about how we are a family and should help each other. But I think that he is very selfish. Second uncle. Yes, you simply take Meiling to their house when the guests come next time. Yeah. Ms. Niu. S eyes sparkled. You are so clever. I will just do that. She felt a bit sour. I think that Yunduan is getting more promising and he should have more friends coming to his home in the future. I will watch out for his guests henceforth. We are open to anyone. She had to admit that Shao Yunduan was cultivated talent and he was not befriending any farmers. She had no cultivated talent at home, but she could have a cultivated talent as her son-in-law. What if that man became an officer in the future? Then her daughter would become the wife of an officer. They should make full use of what they have now. If the first section could help them, things would not be bad. Shao Yunduan and the others of the family did not know anything about this. So no one mentioned the matter anymore. Chapter 281. Going back to the capital even though there was no mention, Xiao Xian laughed inwardly, and told Shao Yunduan that their second uncle and second aunt really liked dreaming. Despite that they had no idea who Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong really were, they should have at least thought that people from ordinary families did not dress like that at all. They wished to climb higher through marriage, but had they ever thought about whether the other person wanted to marry someone like their daughter? Soon it was the day when Yuezhing Shao's men came to pick the watermelons. When it was dawn, the coachman as well as 2 page boys arrived. Apart from Miss Fong and eldest uncle, everyone else was up, busy picking the watermelons. Eldest uncle also wanted to offer some help but Miss Fong stopped him. Miss Fong said, "You don't have to come along. There are already so many who are in the field and it wouldn't work if everyone went there." In fact, Miss Fong just did not want him to see what was going on in the yard. There were so many things in the yard after all. Although they all knew that it was Xiao Xian's personal property, the eldest uncle was never resolute, especially if he saw this. Hearing that, eldest uncle nodded and believed that it was true. So he did not go over to help. The watermelons were very large, and with so many people helping out, the watermelons filled up the wagons within 1 hour. They had 200 watermelons altogether, and the total amount was 60 liang. 60 liang wasn't that much for the first section of the Shao F_Mali. But it was a business without cost and the amount was enough to last for 4 or 5 years. Xiao Xian did not share the money with the rest of the family, but she offered to make a delicious dinner that night. They cheered, especially Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang, who started looking forward to the dinner already. Even if Xiao Xian did not offer to make dinner, the rest of the family would say nothing. They had cold, sweet and juicy watermelons every day for lunch, and that was a huge advantage for them. Xiao Xian gave one to the coachman and the page boys respectively. The coachman and page boys were so happy that they kept thanking her. Watermelons were rare, and they were going to take them home for friends and family to eat. That would surely lift up their reputation. There were a few watermelons that were not ripe and Yuezhing Shao would send some more men to fetch the remaining ones after a week or so. At this rate they would come over at least 3 more times. With watermelons ready in the wagon, Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong decided to leave the town. Yuezhing Shao simply could not wait to sell the watermelons and lipsticks. County Magistrate Xiao had been watching them all the time. His messenger did not follow them on their trip, but would pass on the information to County Magistrate Xiao the moment they arrived. Then, Strategist Lu and he would come to the door and greet them, exchanging a few words. That really annoyed Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong. But he was an officer of the town and they could not possibly drive him and his people away. When they were just about to leave, County Magistrate Xiao came with Strategist Lu in a hurry, to see them off, making the 2 young masters feel irritated. Yuezhing Shao complained. "What is County Magistrate Xiao doing here?" Xie Jingrong said calmly, "He is very anxious to return to the capital." Yuezhing Shao was startled and burst out into laughter. Hurrying back to the capital? No wonder they wanted to get on well with the Xie family. He hoped that the Xie family could help him to get back to the capital. But this officer with such low competence would not return with a high title. Also, he would have to wait for a few more years before being granted even a small position. Chapter 282. Plan. County Magistrate Xiao and his gang suddenly spotted the wagon full of watermelons. At her scene got Yuzneng Shao and Exili Jingrong, County Magistrate. Liao's eyes sparkled. He tried to press down his excitement and said calmly, "Strategist, you saw that too?" Strategist Lu could not help but lick his lips, drooling inwardly. That was a wagon filled with watermelons. He would like to have some too. It would be wonderful if they could eat those large, juicy watermelons and feel their coolness and texture. He had been working for the county magistrate for a few years, but he only ate 2 slices of watermelons last summer, which was given by the county magistrate. The county magistrate himself had not yet eaten any watermelons this year. Strategist Lu could not help but lament. That young master of the Yuezhing family just doesn't know that he should offer you a dozen. That was what County Magistrate Shao was thinking inwardly, but he was not going to say it out loud. He waved his hands, pretending to be open-minded. Young Master Yuezhing is a businessman who only cares about profits. Also, I don't accept things from others for free. You are honest, officer. You never take benefits from anyone that I know. Strategist Lu raised his eyebrows and started to think. So, do we have someone who is planting watermelons in our county? I will go around and try to see who is doing that. We can buy some too. The watermelons would be so good for the summer. County Magistrate Shao nodded as he smiled. Good, you can go about and take a look. Try and buy as many as possible. Okay, officer. Strategist Lu smiled and felt happy inwardly. The farmers would definitely be glad to have a connection with the county magistrate when he finds them and buys their watermelons. He would get however many he wanted when he saw them. No one would ask the officer for money. By that time he was going to get dozens of watermelons, enough for the whole summer. When Officer Chao returned to the mansion, Madame Chao said with a smile, "Lt is getting really hot these days and we are not sleeping well. I decided to send some people to get some watermelons from the province tomorrow to bring home. If you need anything else we can buy them together." Chao Wei was spoiled and greedy for watermelons. Madame Chao cared about her and did not want to see her suffer. Watermelons did not have a high yield last year due to the torrential rains, and the housekeeper said that one good watermelon would cost 7 qian, which was way over the budget. So only a few were bought. When the housekeeper went to fetch some more, the watermelons were nowhere to be seen. So they needed to go there earlier this year. Officer Chao smiled. No need to go to the capital, we have watermelons here too. He told her what Strategist Lu's plan was. Madame Chao cheered and smiled. That is good. Just let Strategist Lu get the information and watermelons too. You are working for the county day and night, and the farmers should not ask you for money. Chapter 283, Gossip, they should have brought some to you on their own. Damn civilians never understanding the rules. Officer Zhou rubbed his beard and nodded. He believed that his wife was right. Damn civilians. Madame Zhou added. Young Master Yuezhing is also too arrogant. You saw them off. He should have given you some watermelons on his own. How dare he ignore you? Officer Zhou, who was deeply hurt by Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong's ignorance, felt very humiliated hearing what Madame Zhou said. Young Master Yuezhing never thinks about those small things. Madame Chao brought herself back and smiled. True. Madame Zhou spoke to Zhou Wei about watermelons and she was very happy too. It seemed that they were going to have many watermelons to eat during the summer season. I hope they are sweet. Not every farmer is able to plant good watermelons, otherwise they would not have been so rare. Mom, we are buying them in the province if they are not sweet here. Of course. Madame Zhou said with an indulgent smile. It was going to be a very quick exercise. Watermelons were planted in the field and no one was able to conceal that for long. What they needed to do was to do some simple investigation. Zhou Wei and Madame Zhou even got prepared to eat watermelons the following day. It was going to be such a cooling relief if they were able to eat large watermelons on this hot day. That was a tempting thought. However, 2 days passed and they could not see a thing. Zhou Wei could not help but complain. They are so lazy. How can they be so slow as not to get an idea of where the watermelons are? Madame Zhou frowned and got someone to ask Strategist Lu. Strategist Lu was very anxious and disappointed as well. How would he know? The whole thing was so strange that they could find nothing. He had sent many people to look around and theoretically speaking, they should have been able to eat watermelons by that night itself. However, it seemed that the watermelons Yuezhing Shao carried had appeared out of nowhere. No matter what, they could not find the source. Strategist Lu got so annoyed. He just did not understand where the watermelons would have grown. So, he got someone to dig deeper. Before he could find anything, Madame Zhou's men came to ask him for the result. Strategist Lu had to tell the truth. Madame Zhou complained that he was useless but she had no choice except to wait. Yet no matter how much they tried, they still could not even find out who planted the fruit and some people even had no idea of what watermelons were. Then they heard that watermelons might have grown out in the wild field and not planted at home. Strategist Lu thought for a while and could not find out any other explanation, thus telling the truth. The county magistrate was disappointed but he believed the excuse and dropped the idea. What a pity that the watermelons were gone. Madame Zhou and Xiao Wei felt even more annoyed. Madame Zhou sent her servants to buy watermelons from the province. Don't worry Wei, we are going to buy many of them even though it costs 1 liang for one. Only then did Zhou Wei drop the anger. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xin finally let out a sigh of relief hearing that the officers stopped seeking the origin of watermelons. Although they stressed repeatedly that the family should not spread the news around, they were still quite worried. They could counter the situation if they were found, but the best thing would be that they were never found. Chapter 284. Watermelons. Hearing that Officer Qiao's family made so many efforts just to eat watermelons but obtained nothing in the end, Xiao Xian ate 2 more slices purely out of delight. Luckily, they did not let Manager Qin help them with selling watermelons. Also, they dropped the idea of giving 2 watermelons to Manager Qin. Yuezhing Shao took the watermelons home but did not plan to sell them. Instead, he was going to give them away as presents. He gave Xie Jingrong 20 watermelons, 20 to his parents and kept 20 for himself. By this point half the amount was gone. The watermelons were large and round, looking beautiful and tasting sweet. They were most suitable as presents. Especially in this weather, nothing was better than a few large watermelons. There were many watermelons in the market, and those fixed farmers already got their watermelons booked before they turned ripe. Therefore, those that could come to the market were not only quite limited in number but also unripe. Madame Zhou sent her housekeeper to buy the watermelon and luckily, he ran into some cheap ones in the market the following day. Although the housekeeper said that it was just one of the leftovers and not very sweet, yet the housekeeper believed that the watermelons looked really good and sounded quite crispy from outside, thus buying them as good watermelons. The expensive watermelons would not be too sweet but surely would not be bad. The housekeeper bought 10 altogether. 5 liang for 1 pile of watermelons. That was very costly. 5 liang could buy hundreds of kgs of rice. But he decided to tell his master that it cost 7 liang so he could save 2 liang for himself. Once watermelons as well as other things were bought, the housekeeper went back home early the next day. Madame Zhou and Zhou Wei got so happy when the watermelons arrived that they started to drool. Qiao Ko and concubine Du were serving them and feeling greedy inwardly. They knew that even 1 slice would be quite satisfying for them. However, when the maid broke open a watermelon, it looked really white with just a touch of redness. Worse, the skin was not at all fresh. After a bite, one realized that it had no taste, and the soft texture did not taste sweet or fresh at all. Qiao Wei spat and had 1 more cut up. But all the 10 watermelons were the same. Ah! Zhou Wei snapped. What rubbish did the housekeeper buy? Is he blind? He can't even buy 1 correct one. The more they wanted something, the less likely they were able to get it. That caused a huge disappointment and the anger arose involuntarily. Zhou Wei could not help but want to hit someone. She threw herself in Madame Zhou's arms and cried. What she wanted was to just eat 1 watermelon. How could that be so difficult? Madame Zhou got so annoyed that she scolded the housekeeper. The housekeeper's face turned. He begged for forgiveness continuously. He had not foreseen this. How could the farmer sell the rotten watermelons at such a high price? And the watermelons could not prove bad unless broken open. He was cheated too. Madame Zhou scolded him and ordered him to back off. Chapter 285. Watermelons available. Of course she knew that the housekeeper had been fooled as well. But she still felt really annoyed. Consoling Zhou Wei, Madame Zhou sent someone else to buy watermelons again. She just did not believe that it was not possible to eat 1 watermelon. She was quite vexed. Therefore she must eat at least 1 watermelon to drive away the anger. Unexpectedly, the housekeeper never ran into anyone who was selling watermelons even after spending so many days in the province. Feeling helpless, the housekeeper did not dare to stay for too long. He returned empty-handed. The mother and daughter, along with Officer Zhou, got very annoyed by this. They could eat a few watermelons last year but this year they managed to eat none. They felt so horrible not to have been able to eat any. The more Qiao Wei thought about this, the more angry she became. I just wanted to eat 1 watermelon. How can this broken, shabby place offer none? I'm so fed up with it. Distressed, Madame Zhou consoled her. It is just a watermelon, nothing precious. It is not so rare that we eat nothing good otherwise. We can get all kinds of things we want when we go back to the capital. Zhou Wei snorted and felt very displeased. Her face was sullen. It was so irritating. On the other hand, in the first section of the Shao family, watermelons were very popular. Every day at lunchtime they would cut 2 large, round ones and have a good taste of it. Their thirst was properly relieved. Everyone present was very happy. While County Magistrate Obo's family failed to get any watermelons, 2 more wagons full of ripe watermelons were transported out of the village and headed directly towards the province. This time, Yuezhing Shao decided to sell the watermelon at the price of 3 chen for one. 3 of his friends bought them really quickly. The clients were very passionate about these watermelons, which he had given out as presents at the beginning. This fruit turned out to be so tasty and sweet, and the cost wasn't high either. They bought them for themselves and friends, and they would not resell them to anyone else. When watermelons and tea leaves were sold out, Zhou Xian started to focus upon the business of mushrooms. The sheds and materials for mushrooms were ready, and the seeds had been found. Once the project kicked off, they were going to make a fortune. With her superpower in play, Zhou Xian could easily distinguish the categories of the mushrooms, so she was never anxious about starting with this business. Miss Fang and Xiao Xiaoqi could not help but feel worried for her. They were worried that the mushrooms were difficult to find, and they kept consoling her that she did not need to work so hard for it. Zhou Xian smiled and nodded, accepting the kindness. There was very little they could do in the farmland, and when the last batch of lipsticks was made, the flowers stopped blooming. Roses had been picked out and the other kinds were already withering. Even if Xiao Xian wanted to use her superpower, she needed to be cautious. So she had to wait a little longer. Also, the beeswax was used up and they needed to get some more of that. Therefore, Zhou Xian, Xiao Xiaoqi, Xiao Taotao as well as Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni went into the mountains together. Xiao Dalong and Miss Su were helping Zhou Xian sort out the floral fields, where they trimmed the leaves and watered the plants. Zhou Xian brought in some water that was hundreds of meters far away, and when the water was to be used, the only thing they needed to do was turn it on and the water would come. They were paid 30 won a day for their work. Xiao Dalong and Miss Su were both quite willing to do the work. They decided to find mushrooms and wild honey as well as some other precious herbs during their trip to the mountains. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 286. Love shown off. Yang Xiaoni had never walked into mountains as deep as these, so she was both very curious and excited. She looked around, swinging her neck. Xiao Sanlang wasn't all that experienced, but he was very willing to show off his knowledge in front of his wife by bragging about how interesting things were in the mountains, and how was able to get numerous prey. Hearing him say all that, Yang Xiaoni could not help but look at him with admiration. Brother Sanlang, you know so much. Odeo Xian could not help but clog her ears as she walked next to them. They were too much. They managed to track down numerous mushrooms and got more than 35 to 40 kilograms of wild honey. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni ate a lot of honey while they were dating, since he was very annoyed by how he got stung years ago. But later they both got fed up. ATT was too much for them. But after so many days in the mountains, they only found 4 sites of snow fungus. Zhou Xian used her superpower every now and then, but she could not use too much of it. So they failed to find too many. Snow fungus were very precious, and once they grew, the values would be much higher than the other categories of mushrooms. Xiao Xian was not anxious. She was going to urge the already growing ones so they would be enough. Xiao Xiaoqi got a lot of things too. He had roosters and rabbits to take home, which were enough for the family to eat. They even got 2 honeycombs on this day, and Xiao Xian had a discussion with the rest of the family that they could cease the search after the next day. They were all quite exhausted. Also, they needed to work on the honey. Xiao Taotao and Yang Xiaoni both agreed. They believed that floral fields were more important, especially when the new flowers bloomed. They would need to work hard on it. Luckily, Xiao Xiaoqi got 1 water deer, chubby and large, weighing around 15 kilograms. Water deer should taste really good, but it was quite timid and ran fast. It was never easy to catch it. Therefore, even finding 1 water deer made everyone happy. They all turned to Zhou Xian asking, "How should we make it?" Zhou Xian just could not help but feel a bit helpless. They now considered her to be the chef. But it was very easy to work as a chef. She just needed to work on the pot whilst the rest were done by the others. She thought for a while and said, "Deer, wild sheep and wild deer are almost the same. Just follow the way of making mutton. Braised, stewed, stir-fried and boiled are definitely not bad." They all nodded and agreed. Yang Xiaoni licked her lips, saying cheerfully, "I became so hungry after hearing your words." Xiao Sanlang added, "This is a large one, you can eat some more at dinner." "Yes, brother Sanlang, you should eat some more too." "Of course." Xiao Xian and the others. They showed off love wherever they were. Miss Fong was very glad to see such a huge prey when she came home. She helped with boiling the water and removing the fur. Many villagers were drawn to watch the show. Such a large prey was rarely seen, and the villagers wanted to see what they were going to do with it. However, as they were watching the processing of the animal, a gray-haired old woman, together with 2 young men and 2 young women arrived there. "Is this Miss Fang's home?" They all turned to look at the newcomers. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 287. Ms. Zhou's family. Miss Fong glanced at them, nodding with a smile. "I'm Miss Fong, who are you?" She really had no idea who they were. Nor did anyone from the Shao family recognize them. Someone seemed to recognize her and was about to speak up, when the old woman went up to her and took hold of Miss Fang's hands. In a grateful voice she said, "I am from the Zhou family. My daughter used to be the second daughter-in-law of the Ding family. I am older than you and I will address you as my niece. Thank you for helping my daughter." Oh, they were from Ms. Zhou's home. People present could not help but wear a look of understanding. Miss Fong brought herself back, laughing. "Don't worry, Ms. Zhou and I have always been good friends and it was just a little help. No need to make a big deal out of it." "But I am grateful," she said with teeth clenched as she sneered. "Some people are the worst human beings. Thank goodness you were here." Miss Fong shook her head out of courtesy and asked them to have a seat inside. The villagers left, seeing that something was going on in the family and Miss Fong was driving them away. When Ms. Zhou and Ding Erzhu had the wooden house built and all was settled, they bought some chicken and opened up the field. Their life had just started. The remaining work should just be routine. Only at that time did Ms. Zhou return to her own home with her child. Ms. Zhou had thought about turning to her natal family when she ran into trouble, but she felt too ashamed to go over. When she went home and talked about the whole issue, the mother and the daughter cried a lot. Ms. Zhou had a brother who always cared about her. She was not very close to her sister-in-law, but they always talked in a friendly way. Hearing that, her parents and brother got so annoyed. Ms. Zhou spent one night at her mother's home and the following morning her parents, brother, sister-in-law and cousins all rushed to the Zhang village and hit Ding Erzhu. Ms. Zhou shielded him but the whole family scolded Ding Erzhu angrily. They married their daughter to him only because he looked very honest. But now their daughter was suffering so much. Ding Erzhu cried too. He felt very guilty while facing his brother-in-law as well as his parents-in-law. His parents-in-law had always treated him well. Every time he visited them, they would kill the chicken to treat him and let him bring some food home when he returned. He even borrowed some grains from them. But he failed to protect their daughter and let her suffer so much during the past few years. When she was done scolding her son-in-law, she took her children and nieces as well as her family to the 5th Grandpa Ding's home. She did not have her husband with her, who stayed back at home. 5th Grandma Ding was at home. Seeing the Zhou family coming towards her, she was about to defend herself when everyone rushed forward and hit her. They ripped off her clothes, grabbed her hair, hit her face and pinched her arms. They spared no efforts to hit her. 5th Grandma Ding's 2 sons were gone, and 2 daughter-in-laws were both absent. So she was mercilessly hit by the Zhou family. Also, she treated none of her daughter-in-laws well, and even if they were around they might not have offered any help either. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 288. Purpose. Later, Madame Zhou took her son and daughter-in-law, rushing into 5th Grandpa Ding's home and smashed everything. They broke every utensil in the kitchen and spilled the seasonings onto the ground. But for being a farmer's family himself and not wanting to ruin the food, they would have poured all the grain into the ditch. 5th Grandma Ding's heart felt broken. She cried and kept calling her a bitch constantly. Annoyed, Madame Zhou hit her again. They were in the midst of the fight when the Ding family finally came home. The Ding family got so annoyed that they demanded the Zhou family to repay them. Madame Zhou snapped. "Repay you what? You need to compensate me for my granddaughter's life first." 5th Grandpa Ding could not hold it in. That was her fault. She was just a child, what did she know? You believe that she can think rationally? You were so cruel as to trap her in the ancestral hall and not allow her to eat or drink anything. 5th Grandpa Ding felt so strange when he heard this. How did she know about not getting any food? 5th Grandpa Ding flushed out of anger. He shivered and could not utter a sound. Madame Zhou sneered. "My daughter and my son-in-law are not lazy, are they? They show respect to you, right? Still, you drove them out without giving them any share in the properties. How dare you separate the family like this?" Ding Sanju snapped. "It was them who wanted to do so. Oh really? But you allowed them to go away, right? They were forced to move out without getting anything. It is ridiculous. Ding Sanju got very annoyed but was speechless in the end. Madame Zhou glanced at them and sneered. Since you drove them out, the relation has been cut off directly. Don't ever dare to come to us for anything good in the future. If I ever find out that you are doing so, I will slap you to death. Fifth Grandpa Ding shivered out of anger. They should never come back home too. I won't accept them either. We won't. Madame Zhou sneered. Bear it well in mind. After the chaos, they thanked those who had helped their daughter before, and then they headed to the first section of the Shao family to express their gratitude. Although many people helped the couple, the first section of the Shao family had given the biggest help. They even arranged the future for them. The Zhou family were very grateful to them, and they definitely would come to the door to express their thanks. Miss Fang could not help but sigh, telling Madame Zhou that everything would be fine. Madame Zhou shed some tears and thanked them again before leaving. Miss Fang liked Madame Zhou's straightforward personality. Madame Zhou was a very straightforward person who had taught her daughter to be kind. But that did not become a merit. Miss Fang could not help but feel bothered. It seemed that her Taotao was too kind as well. She should be taught to be fierce too, maybe? The family affairs of Fifth Grandpa Ding's home became the gossip for many people, and it went on for a long time. The whole family got so annoyed, but they did not dare to turn to the Zhou family for any sort of repayment. They had to accept the loss. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 289. Unspeakable Feelings. Miss Su, Yang Xiaoni, all of them felt sorry for Ms. Zhou's family. But Qiao Xian and Miss Fang were the ones who knew what was really going on, so they exchanged a look and smiled at each other. It made their relationship closer. The water deer was soon handled and the meat was sliced. They were aware that the internal organs were good things too, so they held them in a basin. It was a huge animal that should be shared with the other sections of the family, so Miss Fang asked Shao Sanlang to cut a few medium-level meat for them. She was not going to deliver it, nor would she let Tao Tao do that. She asked eldest uncle to do so personally. She decided not to get involved with them in any case. Eldest uncle was very displeased, but he said nothing to counter her. Sure enough, the second and the third sections of the family complained about getting very little meat. They did not say it straightforwardly, but that was exactly what they meant. Eldest uncle was feeling rather displeased inwardly. But the first section of the family did not care. They started the fire and put all the inner organs inside the pot, adding different kinds of spices for braising. The other stove was heated as well. The water deer was cut into different sizes of diced and stewed on the dried bamboo. Miss Su was slicing the meat for frying while Qiao Xian intended to make a dish of stewed ribs. Stewed ribs were easy to make. Rice and glutinous rice were soaked a little, fried in a pan until they turned brown, then ground and a little salt was added. She had planned to add the 5-spice powder, but it was not present at the moment. So she could only make a simpler version of it and tried to see what it tasted like. Qiao Xian did not think that it was going to taste bad because the fried rice smelled good. Then she could add some more spices like star anises, fennels and cinnamon to make it fragrant. When it was time for dinner, a table full of delicious water deer was brought to the table. Everyone was attracted to the stewed water deer meat immediately. That is a new dish? It looks really delicious. They just could not wait to touch the dish. The meat smelled fragrant, and the rice flour over it had locked the freshness of the meat. As the scent of rice and meat were combined, it tasted best when eaten hot. Qiao Xian had not eaten this kind of dish in a long while, and she had not expected that water deer, when made this way, would taste especially fresh. Then she could make some more similar ones. The following day, Qiao Xian suddenly felt a bit tired. She suggested that they should deal with the already existing honey first and get the beeswax, before paying a visit to the mountains. Qiao Xian's suggestion catered to what others were also thinking. Actually, it was because Qiao Xian sensed the moisture in the air, and she predicted that it was going to rain very soon. She was very sensitive towards the air changes, and she could forecast the weather within 1 day's time. Sure enough, clouds covered up the sun at lunchtime, and the sky fell into darkness. Thunderstorm arrived and the rain poured down. They were in the middle of extracting honey and beeswax, and felt lucky that they were not in the mountains. Otherwise the rain would have been too heavy for them to handle. Qiao Xian could tell that the rain would last for a very long time, maybe come down continuously for a couple of days. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 290, watermelon candy that was good. In this way flowers would grow even more vividly. When it was sunny again she decided to use her superpower. Then soon the flowers would bloom flourishingly. However, the watermelons were not in the same state. Although she used her superpower to make the watermelons grow better so that they could have stronger resistance against the environment compared to the ordinary ones, watermelons were, after all, watermelons. They were afraid of the water piled up. Water puddles rot in the fruits. And the texture as well as the sweetness would be heavily reduced. That was horrible. She decided to sell them at a lower price if Yuezhing Shao's men came to fetch them after a few days. With many helping hands, honey was all done. There were many jars holding them, and each of them took one jar home and left the rest for sale. Qiao Xian smiled. I only need this much and I don't need the profits gained from the honey sale this time. Everyone can have a share. Elder brother, sister-in-law, though you were not with us in the mountains, you worked so hard and you should have some profits too. Shao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were not picky people. So they nodded in agreement. Xiao Taodao smiled. Fifth sister-in-law found the honeycombs and she has the final call on everything. She hoped that this kind of day would last for a long time. However, if someone became selfish in the future they would live separately, and would not have a row with each other. Miss Su had plenty of money and she was much happier right now. Yang Xiaoni did not have many thoughts. It was Qi's wife who remained to be seen. It was still raining the following day. They were all bored. Miss Fang felt very concerned about the watermelons in the yard. Qiao Xian asked Miss Fang and Miss Su to fetch some large ones home. They decided to remove the seeds and make some watermelon candies. They were bored so they had this idea so they could save some watermelons on the way. They were both very excited and curious about it and helped along. The watermelons were slowly simmered on low heat and filtered with gauze. The amber-colored viscous syrup obtained in the end was very beautiful. When people tasted it, there was a unique fragrance of watermelon in the sweetness, which was very tempting. Qiao Xian had a couple of large plates in her hands and poured the syrup in them. They waited until the liquid solidified. After 2 hours the syrup set in. When it went harder, it was cut into finger sizes and watermelon candies were formed, as the new sort of snack. It was not easy to see candies in this era so children at home got so happy to get candies like that. Xiao Junyan and Xiao Qing were excited, and Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were happy to eat them as well. Shao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were no exceptions. Both of them were so happy about it. Qiao Xian tasted one and felt really satisfied. She gave it to Xiao Yunduan and smiled. Sweet huh? The watermelon candies could be good snacks, handy and tasty. We can buy some yellow paper to wrap them up next time we go into the town, and we can save them in the jar. When they made the candies in the future, they could also add some crushed peanuts, crushed walnuts, raisins, mint juice, rose juice, osmanthus. That meant that they could eat all kinds of candies. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 291. Chaos. She could ask Yuezhing Shao to find a carpenter who could make some silver or bronze candy models to shape the candies and future potential cakes. The more Qiao Xian thought about this, the more motivated she was. Seeing her sparkling eyes, Xiao Yunduan could not help but smile and nod. Your ideas are never bad. Qiao Xian chuckled and exchanged a look with him. I think so too. The two of them smiled at each other. Qiao Xian picked some tomatoes for stewing. She made a jar of ketchup and asked Miss Su to yeast the pasta. She was going to make ketchup with egg noodles. Ketchup was a very good thing. She could save some to make sugar-coated ribs or braise the tofu. The sweet and sour ketchup was added with eggs and mixed into the noodles, which provided great texture and it was really good for the stomach. It was really lively at the first section of the family, whilst the second section of the family was having problems. Due to the heavy rain, everyone was quite free at home. Ms. Niu was bored and decided to clean up the room a little. However, she found that the 5 liang she had hidden earlier was gone. Ms. Niu was a very sneaky person. She never hid her money in one place. So she was very startled when she saw the money missing. She checked around and found that everything else was still available. So she let out a sigh of relief. However, she felt so heartbroken thinking of the missing money. She always hid things well and she never leafed through her hidden things in the room, otherwise she would have thought of this earlier. She suddenly thought of Ms. Zhang. Especially when Ms. Zhang kept asking her for 2 liang of money, saying that her brother's wife was going to give birth and needed money. Ms. Niu did not agree to give her any. Ms. Zhang always sneaked things home and Ms. Niu hated her for her small moves. She would never loan her any money. Also, Ms. Zhang never returned any money she had borrowed. This bitch. How dare she steal my stuff? Ms. Niu rushed to Ms. Zhang. Ms. Zhang did not admit to it initially, but after being scolded, she had to admit in tears. My brother's wife gave birth to a baby and we are too poor. You don't even want to loan me anything. I had no choice, please forgive me. I will never do that again. Ms. Niu kicked Ms. Zhang to the ground. You will never do it again? You will always do it, given another chance. My children need money for their marriages and we need money for our family. How dare you steal money to support your own family? I will make my son divorce you. Ms. Zhang cried. Don't, Mom. I really won't do that again. Ms. Zhang was very scared. But she did not regret a thing. She felt lucky. When she stole the money and took it home, her parents and brother were all cheerful. They kept praising her for being capable. That made her feel so satisfied and gratified. She believed that she had done a good deed. Her brother was the only son of the family and he needed to be treated well. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 292. Furious, her mother-in-law would do nothing more but scold or hit her. She could bear that. After all, she had given birth to grandchildren for the family, and her mother-in-law would not drive her out. Also, it was not the first time for her to hear that she was going to be driven out. Hence she did not panic. However, Ms. Niu was really pissed this time. She was not very happy about her stealing some stuff, but she could still tolerate that. But it was cash worth 5 liang this time. Worse, Ms. Zhang dared to sneak into her room to do the search. If it had happened once, it would happen twice. Her remaining cash would be taken out as well. Most importantly, she needed money to help her son and daughter to find good marriages, and Ms. Zhang was still focusing on her own family. What was this daughter-in-law good for? Second uncle and Shao Erlang were chatting at someone else's home but returned when they heard that something had happened at home. Second uncle's face darkened as he pointed at his son. You two go to the Zhang family to get back the money. Ms. Zhang cried. Don't, please. Dad, forgive me. Ms. Niu spat at her and sneered. I will forgive you when you get the money back, but if you fail, you can stay at your own home and never return. Son, you can divorce her. Shao Erlang was startled. What? You are questioning me? Ms. Niu barked at him. No, Shao Erlang staggered. But our children are still so young. So what? You can marry another one next year. Ms. Niu sneered. I am not letting her get away with it this time. She can still be divorced even if she bore children for you. I won't let her go this time. Ms. Niu was really angry about this. If Ms. Zhang only stole a few coins, she would not have been so angry. But this was too much money for her to accept. Also, Ms. Zhang always had her own ideas. No matter how much money she stole, she would have been scolded, so she must have thought to take it all. Ms. Niu pushed Ms. Zhang and Shao Erlang out of the yard and slapped the door shut, sneering at them. Go to the Zhang family to get the money back. Without the money, Ms. Zhang will never be allowed to come back home. Ms. Zhang cried. Erlang, please, our children can't lose their mother. Shao Erlang snapped and said angrily, Shut up now. How dare you cry like this? Go to your family to get back the money. Ms. Zhang's face changed. But, how dare you steal 5 liang from my mother? Your family is so greedy. Shao Erlang sneered. With her head lowered, Ms. Zhang did not dare to speak up. The first section of the family soon heard about the story of the second section of the family. Ms. Fong pursed her lips and laughed. That's their family affairs. Your second aunt is not a good thing, nor is Ms. Zhang. How can she help her family like this? Her brother is like a piece of trash now. All the 3 sisters of the Zhang family kept helping their brother with all efforts. Hearing the gossip, Xiao Xian and the others felt so speechless. Suddenly, Ms. Zhang came rushing with tears and kneeling down in front of Ms. Fong. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 293. Begging. Ms. Zhang begged tearfully as she said to Ms. Fong, Please help me. Mom says that she is going to throw me out of the family, but my children should never lose their mother. Ms. Fang's face changed. You. Ms. Su could not help but retreat. She did not like to get involved with anything strange. Xiao Xian was so disgusted. She stole Ms. Niu's money, thus was getting driven out. She came to Ms. Fong for a totally obvious purpose. She was trying to ask Ms. Fong to give her the money. Xiao Xian could not help but feel shocked inwardly. She spoke up. Second sister-in-law, you can talk to us in a normal way. Why are you crying like this? People might think that Mom has done you some bad. Ms. Fong realized what was happening too. She pressed down her anger and sneered. True, what are you crying at my feet for? How annoying. Ms. Zhang shivered and ceased crying. She did not dare to counter Ms. Fong but stared at Xiao Xian. Fifth sister-in-law, I am so pitiful, please don't scold me any more. Second sister-in-law, you are pitiful but not because of us. I'm just telling the truth. Xiao Xian said coldly, you think you are pitiful, so you believe that second aunt has been wrong in teaching you a lesson? Ms. Zhang. Only then did Ms. Fong feel a bit better. She drove away Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Xiaoqi but said to Xiao Erlang, Erlang, have her get up, I can't stand this behavior. Xiao Erlang felt a bit uncomfortable but moved to help his wife up. Ms. Zhang pushed him away. Please help me. Seeing her on her knees, Ms. Fong said, Miss Su, Ms. Yang, get her up and deliver her back to the second section of the family. You have your own senior people in the family to take care of your affairs. I don't want to get involved in this matter. She would be crazy to get involved in their family's dealings. Ms. Zhang got so anxious as she looked at Ms. Fong with despair. Please, eldest aunt, loan me 5 liang? Fifth sister-in-law must easily have this much. Please, just 5 lian, I will definitely repay you. Erlang will divorce me if I don't give her the money. If my children lose their mother, you will feel bad too, right? Ms. Fong did not even change her expression. So, if your mother-in-law loves her grandchildren, she will never divorce you. Those are her grandchildren too, right? Just go back and offer a sincere apology. Ms. Zhang kept begging her. But Ms. Fong did not even want to look at her any longer. Helpless, Ms. Zhang snapped angrily. You are so cruel. Yang Xiaoni could not hold it anymore and said, Second sister-in-law, you are so unreasonable. You stole the money and second aunt drove you away. What does it have to do with us? You think that 5 liang falls from the sky so you can have it whenever you want it? Ms. Zhang burst out in tears and was finally pulled away by Shao Erlang. She went back to the Zhang family with Shao Erlang against her will. Ms. Fong sneered. Okay, just leave them alone. We will never get involved with such stupid things. Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni nodded in agreement. Really stupid things. But Ms. Zhang was really bold enough to steal money from Ms. Niu. This woman had been too obsessed with helping her brother to understand what was going on. Soon, eldest uncle hurried home and asked Ms. Fong. I heard that Ms. Zhang is being driven out of the family. What is going on? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 294. Not interested. Ms. Fong glanced at him and exchanged a few words. But she did not mention that Ms. Zhang had been here. Eldest uncle rubbed his hands. How can a nice family become like this? Poor children, Ms. Zhang is so confused. Ms. Fong laughed. True. Eldest uncle thought of Ms. Zhang's family and was even more confused. I don't think her family is able to offer this much money. Ms. Fong replied. Then we will see if they love this daughter of theirs. Eldest uncle sighed and went to check how it was going on at the second section of the family. He even asked Ms. Fong to go with him, but she promptly turned that offer down. She was not interested at all. By the evening, Ms. Zhang returned with Shao Erlang in distress. She was empty-handed. The parents of hers would never be so simple-minded, when they taught their 3 daughters to help their youngest brother. Ms. Zhang got scolded thoroughly when she asked them for 3 liang. They had no money to offer. Even Shao Erlang was scolded by his in-laws. They kept saying that their only son was precious and their grandson was going to be born. As the daughter of the family, she should offer a hand too. They would never give the money back. What was the Shao family thinking? As they returned home, eldest uncle was still at the residence of the second section of the family. Ms. Niu understood clearly what happened, judging from how Ms. Zhang and Shao Erlang looked. Her face sank and she asked them with clenched teeth. Where is the money? Nothing was returned? Ms. Niu got so annoyed as she was reminded of the money Ms. Zhang stole. She pointed at Ms. Zhang and said, What are you doing here since you can't get the money? Did they not accept your request? It seems that they don't like you either. Ms. Zhang covered her face with her hands, begging. Mom, please, I don't dare to do that ever again. Ms. Zhang had never expected that Ms. Niu would get so angry this time. She felt kind of regretful. But how her parents and brother reacted disheartened her as well. Yet she was more scared right now, fearing that Ms. Niu would really drive her out. What are you crying for? Ms. Niu shouted and pushed Ms. Zhang out of the house. Just get out of here, go back to your own home. I am not joking with you. Shao Erlang could not stand it anymore and defended his wife. Mom, please, just shut up. Ms. Niu snapped angrily. We can't have a thief at home. Your brother and Meiling are about to find a marriage soon, and the dowry and wedding gifts are not yet settled. She stole our money and you are still defending her. Chaos arose in the family. Eldest uncle rushed back home and told Miss Fong, "Loan 5 liang to my brother's family. They will return it soon. It has something to do with Xilang and Meiling. We are not joking here. Please loan the money to them." Ms. Niu cursed at Ms. Zhang and Shao Erlang, then she started to cry about how difficult it was to establish the marriage for the 2 children. Second uncle was helping along too. In this way the eldest uncle got involved. Ms. Fong laughed. Of course no one is joking. So, did Ms. Zhang not get any money from her family? Eldest uncle frowned. You know pretty well what they are like. Yes. Ms. Fong sneered. The Zhang family are shameless deodly. And they've deserved to get nothing. We are good people and hence we are cleaning up for them, is it? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 295. Ms. Niu's twisted face. Ms. Zhang stole her own mother-in-law's money. Why should I make it up for them? You, elder uncle frowned. But Xilang and Meiling are innocent, and we should understand what is more important. Miss Fong had already predicted how her husband would defend his brothers, but she still felt quite heartbroken upon hearing this. He was clueless. He kept saying that he needed to protect his brothers and their families, but none of them respected him as the eldest in the family. Xilang and Meiling were innocent, true, so they should go to those who caused them trouble, not to others. But Miss Fong was too lazy to explain it properly to her husband. Her husband had no sway in the family because she was the one who made the decisions, not him. Miss Fong said, "I don't have any money." "We have nothing?" Eldest uncle did not believe her. He sighed emotionally. "Don't worry, they will definitely pay us back. They are just a little tight in hand right now, and they need to establish marriages for their children soon. You all work for Miss Chao, everyone is paid, right?" Miss Fong nodded and said calmly, "True, but Yunduan needs to visit the college every month and he needs money too. He has it all." Elder uncle gasped, asking in disbelief. Really? He did not quite believe what Miss Fong said. But Miss Fong did not care if he believed her. She had the final say. "Yes, yes." Eldest uncle fell silent. Miss Fong sneered. "Well, I think that they can go to the Zhang family themselves. What are they afraid of? Ms. Zhang needs to be taught a lesson anyway, otherwise she will make the same mistake again and again. That is not acceptable. They can either keep their faces or their money." Eldest uncle felt distressed and walked to the second section of the family. Ms. Niu and second uncle got very disappointed when they saw that he had no money with him. Eldest brother was the master of the family. But he had no say about a thing. They did not need to bother with him anymore since he was so weak. Ms. Niu could not stand it anymore and asked, "Miss Chao has no money either? I believe that she just wants to keep the money for herself." Eldest uncle did not know how to respond. He also believed that Chao Shen had money. Look at the watermelons she had sold. But she was not going to loan them any. Moreover, they still owed her a lot of money for his third son's wedding and he could not possibly force her to give out a loan again. Worse, she wasn't that obedient either. Ms. Niu snorted and pushed Ms. Zhang out of the yard. "Just get out of here. Now." Ms. Zhang burst into tears again. She begged and cried for help. Eldest uncle felt so ashamed. When the chaos arose here, Miss Fong came over and asked eldest uncle to come back for dinner. Miss Fong smiled and whispered to Ms. Niu, whose face changed immediately. Miss Fong glanced at eldest uncle. "Are you coming back? Else you can stay at your brother's home for dinner, and we will eat by ourselves." Ms. Niu suddenly urged him. "Eldest brother, go home for dinner." She was not going to keep him over for dinner. Eldest uncle felt so distressed but did not dare say a thing. So he left with Miss Fong. Hearing what Ms. Niu said, Miss Fong felt quite happy. She was going to see how much longer he was going to tolerate it and be like this. Chapter 296. Saddened, Ms. Niu thought for one whole night before deciding to go and get the money back herself. She must get the 5 liang back. Therefore early next morning Ms. Niu, second uncle, Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang headed straight to the Zhang family and started to rummage through their home, until they eventually found 5 liang. The Zhang family had been living a very rich life after getting so much from the daughters' husbands. The money Ms. Zhang brought home was still untouched. Ms. Niu recognized her money immediately. With money in hands, the second section of the family felt really satisfied. That son of the Zhang family was just a stupid and timid person, who retreated and hid in a corner. The old lady and her husband cried, but Ms. Niu sneered. Ms. Zhang stole the money from my room and it is right for me to take it back. Stop crying. One more theft and Ms. Zhang is out of my family. You should never cause her any more trouble in the future. Feeling proud, Ms. Niu dashed off and left with her family. Ms. Zhang had no idea what they did behind her back. Ms. Niu was really relieved and showed off the money in front of Ms. Zhang as soon as she returned home. Ms. Zhang was shocked. She snapped. How can you do that, Mom? Ms. Niu sneered. I can definitely do it. You stole my money. Also, if you dare to do this one more time, I will go to the Zhang family directly. Pale Ms. Zhang staggered in distress. She started to cry in sadness. Her mother-in-law was behaving way over the top. What would her brother do? He was going to have a baby soon. Ms. Zhang felt so annoyed. Ms. Niu snorted and felt relieved. She was in a good mood and did not want to pester her anymore. Hearing the whole story, Ms. Fong told her husband. See, that was such a simple thing to do to resolve the matter. Eldest uncle was shocked. He had not expected that Ms. Fong had offered such an idea to Ms. Niu. How could you do that? Ms. Fong smiled. Why not? Ms. Zhang steals and your brother and his wife should get back what belongs to them. What is wrong with that? Oh, should I make it up for their sake? Honestly, let me tell you, I am totally fed up with how I have been living with you guys during the past few years. I don't have money, but even if I do, I will not share anything with them in the future. You can move and go live with them if you want to. Our children are all grown up and Chi and Tao Tao have their brothers and their wives to help when they need a wedding. It doesn't matter if you are here or not. Also, in this way you can work for your brothers devotedly, and we won't drag you down. That sounds perfect, doesn't it? Ms. Fong had no intention of getting involved with what happened to the second section of the family because it had nothing to do with her. Every family had their own affairs. But they kept pestering her again and again. Ms. Zhang made the mistake, but she was being forced to make up for it. That was never going to happen again. Ms. Niu and her husband were cunning and kept coaxing her husband. Chapter 297. Cutting the hope. That was why she came up with this bad idea. Anyways, she just gave a suggestion and Ms. Niu could make her own decision. Eldest uncle got so stuck that he could not utter any sound. After a few moments, he said in a shivering voice, What are you talking about? Ms. Fong smiled, yet the smile was cold. I am just telling the truth which has been inside my head for decades. I have spilled it all now. You, don't get ruffled. You can do whatever you want in the future, but don't get the rest of the family involved in it. Ms. Fong did not want to argue with him anymore. She left the place calmly. She let out a sigh of relief as she reached the gate. She was feeling unexpectedly cheerful and relaxed. She did not care about what had happened in the past anymore. She had gone over all the misery she used to suffer. Now she had sons, daughter-in-laws, and money. If someone forced her to do something anymore, the whole family would no longer need to stay together. She had hoped that her husband would change, despite seeing that he was stubborn for so long. But now she was losing hope and decided to let him do whatever he wanted. She was so shocked when she saw Ms. Zhang kneeling down in front of her, begging her for money the previous day. That was so horrifying. The second section of the family would get more and more greedy in the future. It was all because her husband, who was the eldest brother, believed that he had the responsibility of taking care of them. But Ms. Zhang was not in the same generation as they were. Then, how could she be so shameless to come to her with this request? Was her husband going to take care of his own brothers as well as their children? Ms. Zhang dared to do so only because she had learned that from her in-laws. She also believed that the first section of the family should take care of everyone from the second section of the family. She had not lived a smooth life for decades, and could forget what happened in the past. But she was never going to allow such things to happen to her children. She had to cut off the tendency right here and now. It was good that her children were all nice people. After Miss Chao married her son, the whole family started to get better. Her husband did not dare to make Miss Chao do whatever he wanted. After all, she was from a noble family. When her husband could not make Miss Chao do what he wanted, then he would not be able to make the others do whatever he wanted. Miss Fong felt refreshed in her mind. Miss Chao was their lucky star. After hearing the truth, Ms. Zhang staggered back to her home, wanting to console her parents and make an explanation. However, her mother, who was feeling so regretful about the money, snapped at Ms. Zhang. Do you have any money with you? Ms. Zhang got startled and said in a small voice, No. No, I don't. Then get out of here. She barked. You are useless. I raised you because I wanted you to help us. We don't need such a useless person like you here. Ms. Zhang cried, yet she did not have the chance to defend herself before getting driven out by her mother. Ms. Zhang had no choice but to cry all the way back home. She thought for a while and rushed to the first section of the Shao family. Eldest aunt, it was you who told my mother-in-law to steal the money from my home, right? How could you do that? Miss Fong sneered. Was that your mother's money? I told your mother-in-law to get back what belonged to her. That is not stealing. You have to make a clear distinction between right and wrong. Chapter 298. Treatment. Ms. Zhang cried pitifully. My brother's wife is going to give birth soon. How can we support the baby without money? My family isn't as rich as your family, and I did that because I had no choice. How could you not understand my difficulty? Every family has problems. Work hard and you will get it through. Why doesn't your brother work? Your husband's family have to support your family. Ms. Zhang, you are so stupid. Anyways, that is not my business. You can do whatever you want. Why did you get us involved? I won't let that happen. Just tell your in-laws to stop fooling your eldest uncle. Your eldest uncle doesn't have the decision-making authority in this house. You might as well work hard to earn money instead. Ms. Zhang could not understand it. She cried but did not dare to hate Ms. Niu. So she started to blame Ms. Fong and the first section for what she did. She hated them so much. She hated it when Ms. Fong gave Ms. Niu the bad idea. Her brother had been physically weak since he was young and he had never worked before. He would die if he was asked to work. What if he got sick and hurt his body? He was the only son of the Zhang family and he should be completely fine all the time. His sisters ought to take care of him. Also, she knew that Ms. Niu had much more than 5 liang. She had given birth to 2 children for the Shao family. Why couldn't she get some bonus? How could they treat her like this? The son's wedding gifts and the daughter's dowry could just cancel each other out. When Ms. Zhang left, she ran into Qiao Xian and Tao Tao, who had just picked the wolfberry sprouts and 2 yams and brought them home. She sneered with hostility in her tone. You are so lucky, 5th sister-in-law. You are loved because you have money and you don't need to do anything. Qiao Xian became annoyed. What was she talking about? I did not irritate you. Also, it is you who caused all the problems, isn't it? She had no plans to start an argument with Ms. Zhang regarding this boring topic. So she went away with Tao Tao. Ms. Zhang felt even worse and glared at her. The day was finally getting hotter. The blue sky was clear, the air was so clean that there was no dust flying, and all the plants and trees seemed to be fresher, greener and vibrant. Qiao Xian spared some time to visit the floral field and used her superpower to make the flowers and plants grow even more vividly. The flowers would soon bloom in a couple of days. Then they could continue with the making of lipsticks. After a few days, Xiao Yunduan was going to Minghua College and Qiao Xian wanted to follow along to the town. She was going to sell the remaining filtered honey to manager Qin, before heading to the agent to buy some more fields at the Zhang village to plant tea leaves trees. Xiao Yunduan agreed. After breakfast, they rented a bullock cart and headed out. Xiao Sanlang smiled. 5th brother, I would like to go into the town with Xiaoyi. Should we go together? Yang Xiaoni looked excited and hopeful. Her eyes were sparkling as she looked at Qiao Xian. 5th sister-in-law, I have never been to the town. I would like to go and have a look at it. Chapter 299. Random talk. Xiao Xiaoqi and Tao Tao also came there and stood. Both of them had been to the town numerous times, but it was bustling there and they would like to visit again. Qiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan. What about all of us going there? Before Xiao Yunduan could respond, everybody cheered. Okay, let everyone head there. Great. We promise not to run around. Also, we can talk on the way there to keep everyone entertained. Brother Sanlang, I want to buy some good food to eat. Xiao Yunduan smiled helplessly. Okay, let's go. Qiao Xian whispered to him. We should go separately later. We have to visit Zhang village and check out our place. Xiao Yunduan nodded. Okay. They had just stepped out when Ms. Zhang came over after finishing the laundry by the riverside. Although what happened the day before disgusted everyone, and they all pretended not to see her, someone said, 2nd sister-in-law. Ms. Zhang showed a sneering look. Is everyone heading to town? Rich people. I wonder how much longer can 5th sister-in-law's dowry last. It basically meant that the first section of the family was using Chao Xian's dowry and spending her money. Worse, Chao Xian was cheering them on like a stupid person. Having said the words, Ms. Zhang stood still. Xiao Sanlang could not help but respond. Second sister-in-law, you are wrong, we are not using fifth sister-in-law's dowry. Yang Xiaoni pursed her lips and supported her husband. True. Xiao Yunduan added. Where did you get this idea from? You better not talk like this without evidence. Ms. Zhang sneered. Chao Xian smiled and felt helpless. Actually, I don't understand why there are always people who consider me to be a stupid person and worry about my dowry all the time. It doesn't have to be like this. Ms. Zhang felt stuffy in her chest and could not give any response. She felt a bit dumb. Seeing the 2 jars on the cart, she suddenly asked, What is this? She reached out to pick up the lid. No one had expected that she would be like this. They were all startled and failed to stop her. Ms. Zhang removed the lid and felt the scent of sweetness coming to her nose. She could not help but swallow down her saliva. Her eyes widened. This is honey. Ms. Zhang could not hide her happiness. Where did you get all this honey? Xiao Sanlang was the one who responded. Found in the mountains. They were heading into the town with honey. So Ms. Zhang said, You are selling it in the town. All of them had a weird expression on her face. Why had they not stopped Ms. Zhang earlier? Xiao Xian nodded and said openly, Yes, it can get us a lot of money when sold in the clinic. Ms. Zhang's teeth clenched and she glared at Xiao Xian. Xiao Yunduan defended Xiao Xian and said politely, Anything else you want to say? If not, we are leaving. Miss Zhang snorted and said nothing more. Xiao Sanlang continued walking towards the cart. Second sister-in-law will definitely tell second uncle and second aunt. What should we do now? Xiao Taotao felt quite worried. They exchanged a look among themselves and felt the same. Xiao Xian chuckled. Doesn't matter. Actually, they will sooner or later know about what is going on with our family. But so what? What can they do about it? Chapter 300. In town they were all startled. But Xiao Yunduan smiled. Yes. We are earning money, not stealing or robbing anyone, so we don't have to be afraid of our secret getting revealed. Xiao Xian nodded. Very true. She was just worried about the Qiao family, not the Shao family. They had kept it a secret only because they wanted to avoid some unnecessary trouble. If it was known, it would not matter either. Xiao Sanlang and the others felt assured and nodded. Soon they started to talk cheerfully as well. Xiao Yunduan accompanied them to Mingren Tang, said a few words and then headed to Minghua College. Xiao Xian sold the honey to Manager Qin at the price as before, 71 for half a kilo, and they received 4 to 5 chen for the 30 kilos. They were given 9 chen respectively, excluding Xiao Xian. Miss Fang had told them that they did not need to hand in this little money anymore and they could keep it. This was not a small amount, and they were all excited as they headed towards the street for shopping. We have decided to buy some snacks, what do you think? Xiao Sanlang was actually trying to drive away Xiao Xian and the other 2 followers. He wanted to spend the time alone with his wife so that they could go shopping for food. Xiao Xian nodded and decided to quit as the third wheel. She said, We will buy some garments. You both can look around. The couple had been waiting for this sentence to come and added. Okay. We can go shopping separately and gather here for lunch, what do you think? What about finding a good restaurant to eat in? The 3 of them nodded. Xiao Sanlang told Xiao Xiaoqi to take good care of Tao Tao and fifth sister-in-law. We will buy some meat for tonight and tomorrow. You don't need to buy any. Xiao Xian volunteered to become the chef for tonight. She added. Then buy a piece of pork belly, a pork rib and 2 elbows. Last time, some rice noodles were left. Half of the pork belly would be made into double-cooked pork, the other half would be steamed, the elbow would be cooked into sweet and sour, and the rest would be served with the spare ribs. The remaining stuff can be eaten tomorrow. Xiao Sanlang and the couple could not help but drool. Okay, let's do as fifth sister-in-law says. Then the 2 teams went their separate ways as per their own shopping plan. Before lunch, they gathered at Mingren Tang with many shopping bags. Xiao Xian even got some pastries for Mingren Tang and the 2 page boys to eat so they could place their stuff there for the time being. Manager Qin did not reject them. He received them passionately. The 5 of them went into the restaurant for lunch. Xiao Yunduan was still at the college and did not join them. Yang Xiaoni was at a restaurant for the first time and she was very excited about it. She believed that the dishes at the restaurant would be very tasty. But Xiao Xian could make equally good ones. After lunch they went back to Mingren Tang and waited. Xiao Yunduan came over and went away with Qiao Xian. It was very easy to buy mountain fields. The agent took them to the Zhang village and spoke with the land officer about it, and the deal was done quickly. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did not show up in person, but let the agent speak with the land officer, telling him that it was some relatives who were buying. The agent did not figure out why he was supposed to say that, but his mouth remained sealed. He didn't ask about anything even though he was curious. He just cared about the money. Chapter 301. Tea leaf site. Also, the agent knew them well and he knew that they always wanted to stay low profile. The whole thing was settled very fast. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian bought 2 connected mountains, totaling 500 mu. They spent 2033 liang including all the fees. In this transaction, they had spent half of the earnings gained from Yuezhing Shao and Xiejingrong. Now they had only 2,300 liang left. Qiao Xian was very satisfied with the land contracts in her hand. She was a young landowner with so many fields in hands. When she built the gardens and filled in some staff, she would have a firm foundation. Honestly speaking, since golden sprouts and lavender were such precious tea leaves, Qiao Xian would not dare to plant them but for Yuezhing Shao and Xiejingrong's existence. Otherwise the plants would be stolen and attract trouble. Money was always very attractive, and profits in this deal would be far and beyond. People might get really greedy for what they could possibly gain. However, right now they felt well protected. The agent handled the whole thing well. He claimed that a relative was here checking out the locations and decided to buy some land to plant tea leaves and herbs. The land officer of the Zhang village did not suspect a thing. Even if they realized that Qiao Xian owned the land, it was fine. They could just say that they were hired. By the time they were capable enough, the land officer would very much want them to stay and get their villagers hired as the labor. They barely had time to visit Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou after they finished with the business. Hence they stayed over for just a short while. They understood that the couple was doing very well. Qiao Xian liked the Zhou family. She was going to ask the Zhou family for help when the tea garden was set up. If she established a friendship with the Zhou family, she would automatically become friends with Ding Xiang after she made it big in the future. Qiao Xian wondered how Ding Xiang felt when she left. Was she holding a grudge against her parents? Maybe yes, but when she returned she might still take care of them. They were weak, but they had already been punished. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan returned to the town and joined the others, before going back home together. As they went back home, the sun was already going down and it would soon be dinner time. The summer was coming and the day was longer. It was still bright when they started to eat dinner. The second section of the family heard about Ms. Zhang's narration regarding the honey. Second uncle and Ms. Niu were very annoyed, and complained about the first section of the family for doing business alone. It must have been Shao Xiaoqi who took the whole family to find honey. They should have asked the second section of the family to tag along, since they knew that they were running out of money. The second section of the family could earn some money as well. The honey could be sold at dozens of one for half a kilo. Second section of the family came to eldest uncle about the matter, though they had intended to ignore him earlier. Eldest uncle knew that Shao Xiaoqi and Xiao Xian would visit the mountains to get some mushrooms, bamboo and wild animals. But he did not know about the honey. So when second uncle talked about this, he was startled as well. He also agreed that Qi should have taken the other sections of the family along with him. Chapter 302. Waiting. He intended to ask Miss Fang about this, but as he thought of how Miss Fang might react, he hesitated. Actually, he did not dare to. He could almost predict that no matter whether Miss Fang knew about it or not, she would behave the same. He decided to wait until his son and the others returned from the town. However, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did their own business at the Zhang village, so they did not return until the evening. They were all talking about what to eat for dinner and decided to make dinner as they came home. Ms. Niu and the others were all waiting for them. The moment they put down their things, second uncle and Ms. Niu came over. "Did you all go sell the honey? Where is the money?" Ms. Niu asked in such a hurry as if they should share the money with her. She had spotted a wife for her son. She was from a good family who sold tofu. Ms. Niu was very satisfied with her, but they required a lot of wedding gifts. Before Qiao Xian answered, Miss Fang snapped. "That has nothing to do with you. Elder sister-in-law, it is your fault. You know that we are running short of money. Why did your family not take us along to make some money too?" Qiao Xian blinked and said innocently, "It is because we want to make money ourselves. We are of course not going to take anyone else with us." Ms. Niu and second uncle. Eldest uncle frowned. You. Miss Chiao? Miss Fang immediately said, "Okay, Miss Chiao Duan, you are both tired, just go back to your room and don't worry about anything that is unrelated to you." They nodded when they heard her speak. Miss Fang looked at the second section of the family and said coldly, "Do you not understand what I have been saying all this while? Never mind, I can repeat it a few times. You are not getting any money from us, nor can you get a loan from us. You can come and steal the money, but if you are caught, I will report you all to the governmental office. Don't you ever forget who my daughter-in-law's father is." Second uncle shivered in anger. "Eldest brother, why don't you say something? Eldest sister-in-law, are you cutting us off?" Miss Fang said calmly, "If you want to do that, I am willing as well." Ms. Niu responded angrily. "Eldest sister-in-law, you are cutting us off." Miss Fang answered, "Oh, I am done with what I need to say, you can continue to talk. I am off." Miss Fang turned around and left. Eldest uncle called her but she pretended not to hear. Second uncle got so furious as he snapped at eldest uncle. "Eldest brother, you are the master of the family. What did our parents say when they passed away? You are living a good life now but you are throwing us away? We can leave the rest alone, but Xiling needs to get married. The Yin family said that we need to give 20 liang as wedding gifts, or the marriage will not work. Are you so cruel as not to care about this? You offered 20 liang to the Yang family. The Yin family is definitely better than them, right? We need to hold our reputation high and not let Xiling get humiliated." Eldest uncle felt so annoyed. "Don't worry, second brother, I will talk with your elder sister-in-law about this. We must help Xiling." Only then did second uncle and Ms. Niu drop the topic. But they continued to spill out their bitterness and misery, forcing eldest uncle to offer them the money. If the first section of the family gave out the money, that would be great. The moment they left, eldest uncle turned to find Ms. Fang. Chapter 303, Business. But Ms. Fang did not care about eldest uncle's request, now that she had decided to leave the other sections of the family alone. No matter what he said, Ms. Fang did not agree to any of it. Eldest uncle got so irritated that he did not even come out of the room to have dinner. Everyone was quite surprised. Ms. Fang did not care and said coldly, "Don't worry about him. He can starve for all he wants. He would not die after not eating a few meals." The whole family was speechless, but they said nothing when Ms. Fang put it forward so bluntly and firmly. Eldest uncle was really sad. He spent the whole night in misery but did not dare to meet his brother and his wife. He felt sorry about not living up to his parents' expectations. Second uncle and Ms. Niu were very disappointed. They didn't earn much by the sale of honey. "You think about the wedding gifts and tell me if you need anything." Second uncle sneered. "What is the point of telling you?" Ms. Zhang added as she was listening. "Eldest uncle, I saw that they had a lot of honey. They would have easily sold it for 20 liang." Eldest uncle gasped and mumbled. He could not get the money even if there was. He could not force Miss Fang to give him any. "Ivis." Nang Werkner said, "E1's aunt was not 11 kuar Mr. until sister-in-law came to your family. Everything has changed. She was born in a noble family and she is very calculative." Ms. Zhang pushed all the grudges to the first section of the family, especially Qiao Xian who had 26 sets of dowry. Ms. Niu threw a very satisfied look at Ms. Zhang, and nodded in agreement. Eldest uncle felt uncomfortable as well. He was not very satisfied with Qiao Xian either. But there was nothing he could do about it. It was out of his reach. When eldest uncle left, Ms. Niu and second uncle complained more amongst themselves. "They are getting so stingy. No wonder they say that money makes people stingy. It is all Miss Chiao's fault. Yes. They keep saying that we are a family and then behave like this. We should cut them off as well." But what should be done about the wedding gifts? Second uncle drove Ms. Zhang away when they started to talk about money. He asked Ms. Niu, "Honestly speaking, will we be able to afford the 20 liang wedding gifts?" Ms. Zhang did not go away immediately. Instead, she stood eavesdropping outside the door. Hearing that, she covered her mouth tightly to stop herself from screaming. 20 liang? She got irritated. She had only received 6 liang as a wedding gift. Why should they offer the Yin family 20 liang? That was totally unfair. She was not worse than the girl from the Yin family. She had given birth to the grandchildren of the family. She had been working so hard for the second section of the family. But they treated her like this. She only stole 5 liang from her own family and her mother-in-law wanted to get it back in such a humiliating manner. Now they were planning to give the Yin family 20 liang as a wedding gift. Also, Yang Xiani's family received 20 liang as the wedding gift as well. She had been treated the worst. Ms. Zhang could not hear what more Ms. Niu and second uncle talked about. She felt so irritated. Annoyed, she went out and ran into Ms. Su. She decided to hold on to her. Chapter 304, Ms. Zhang's Estrangement. We are both daughters-in-law and we are suffering from misery. Also, our in-laws prefer someone else. Just think about this, when you got married you received only 6 liang as a wedding gift, and Yang Xiaoni was paid 20. That is so unfair. You are the eldest daughter-in-law of the family, how can you be treated like this? Ms. Su was startled and her face changed. Although she had been focusing on her own family, she was never on the top. She never thought about this but for Ms. Zhang's mention of the matter. Seeing her expression, Ms. Zhang felt quite proud and said some more things before she left. But soon Ms. Su brought herself back. She was not quite happy about where she was now, but that was nothing. Yang Xiaoni was not in the same position as she had been at her natal house. Her mother-in-law was forced to spend so much money on the wedding gift, not because she volunteered to do so. Most importantly, she had enough of her own savings now. She had counted it recently. Much to her delight, she had saved more than 100 liang, which belonged to herself alone. Also, she was going to get some more soon. In hindsight, the wedding gifts worth 20 liang were nothing. Also, Yang Xiaoni was a nice person. She seemed quite honest and innocent. She liked her. Ms. Zhang told her this matter deliberately because she must be planning something bad. On the other side, Ms. Zhang was still feeling quite annoyed about the Yin family receiving 20 liang as the wedding gift, even though she had managed to provoke Ms. Su. The more she thought about this, the more distressed she became. She even spent the whole night crying. She wished that the wedding could be cancelled. But Ms. Niu already found a matchmaker who could help with the wedding. In the end, the amount for the wedding gifts was still high. Ms. Zhang was really annoyed. They took the money from the shared savings. Ms. Niu was not happy about the money, but she was satisfied about the marriage with the Yin family, and the Yin family said that the dowry would be 8 liang, so she agreed. But Ms. Niu kept complaining about the first section of the family. That had caused all of this. The first section of the family spent 20 liang on the wedding gift for Yang Xiaoni, and that became known to the Yin family, who kept saying that they needed 20 liang as well, since their daughter was not worse than Yang Xiaoni. Ms. Niu kept negotiating and the Yin family cut the wedding gift to 15 liang finally. Ms. Niu had no choice but to nod in agreement. Seeing that the whole thing was settled, Ms. Zhang got so annoyed that she wished that Ms. Su would make some fuss. But nothing happened. She kept saying that Ms. Su was useless. Shao Siling's marriage was finally settled. The wedding was expected to be held at the new year. Ms. Niu felt very relieved. She went to the first section of the family and showed off. She told Ms. Fang implicitly that they could still get Siling a good suitor without their help. Same went for Miling. Ms. Fang responded to her calmly. That is good, you have abundant money and the Yin family have a lot of wealth too, good marriage. Ms. Niu snorted. Of course it is good. Ms. Fang was not as narrow-minded as they were. She would not want the other sections of the family to live miserably, as long as they did not come to her for trouble. Soon Yuezhing Shao's men came to fetch the watermelons. Due to the constant rain, the watermelons went bad and the taste was not as good as before. Qiao Xin reduced the price and charged only 40 liang for both wagons. Chapter 305. To province. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 305. To province. Yuezhing Shao even sent a letter, telling them how well the lipsticks were selling, asking her how much longer it would be before the next lot of lipsticks was available. He wanted to get as many as he could. Qiao Xian wasn't surprised about the popularly sold lipsticks. She asked Xiao Yunduan to write a letter back to Yuezhing Shao, telling him that after 20 days or so, they could come to fetch the lipsticks again, which should be around 500 or 600 in total. She further asked him to mention that the tea mountains had been found and the leaves should be transplanted by the end of this year, around New Year. In autumn next year or so, they would get some amount of tea leaves to be given to him, but he still needed to find a proper processor. Qiao Xian smiled. We will definitely have some amount of tea next year, and the tea trees in the mountains should not be touched, but we can pick some when we go to the mountains next. She had her superpower and could make sure the tea trees lived on after being moved. But the trees had been in the mountains for so many years and they didn't need to transplant them. They were born and grew in the mountains and they might produce better quality leaves there itself. Xiao Yunduan agreed and smiled. Okay, that is good. Should I tell him about the mushrooms? The shiitakes and wooden ears had started to grow very fast. There were not many snow fungus but were still growing vividly. There were not many wild-growing snow fungus and Xiao Xian decided not to find any more. She decided to breed some on her own for the moment. She smiled. You can remind him that the purchase should be done by the end of this year. She further added. We would need some more laborers to work on our tea mountains. Uncle Erzhu and the Zhou family might not be enough. What about getting some more staff? Xiao Yunduan thought. I don't think we can find any suitable ones in the town. The town was so small and very few laborers were available. The rich families only hired contractors. In big towns there were endless business people and rich families who required such staff. There was almost no department to recruit such staff. Some people were working part-time who worked on occasions. She decided to get someone from the province and pay the middlemen. More importantly, Xiao Yunduan also hoped that their purchase of staff would not be revealed to the Qiao family, so that was another trouble. Not everyone had a tight mouth. Xiao Xian agreed. The town was too small to meet every need. Oh man, she had become so arrogant as to not like the town anymore. Suddenly Xiao Xian smiled. Darling, what about we travel to the province? You can tell young Master Yuezhing that when he sends someone to fetch the lipsticks, we would like to tag along. It must be bustling in the province and many more things are available there. Let's see if we can get some appropriate laborers ourselves. You can buy some books as well and visit the famous colleges in the province and exchange opinions with them. Sounds good? Xiao Yunduan was startled. But after a moment he was quite motivated. He also sensed that those people at Minghua College were not on the same level as he was. But the province was different. There were always better people outside. Maybe the trip would help him become better? Darling, let's just go there. Xiao Xian tugged his arms and coaxed him happily. You are going there in the future to attend the examination, and we can visit the place first to check it out. Announcement. We are moving box novel. Com to bro novel. Com. Please bookmark our new site. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 306. Lipsticks again. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 306. Lipsticks again. Xiao Yunduan flushed as he felt her tugging. He got a bit absent-minded but did not dare to show his reaction, fearing that he would cause embarrassment. He tried to suppress his facial expression. After a moment he could not help but smile. Xiao Yunduan simply could not turn down any of her requests, especially when she was smiling at him like this. He intended to say that he would think about it, but soon he changed his mind and answered. Okay, we can go there. Okay. Xiao Xian was delighted. Young Master Yuezhing and young Master Xie must know a lot about the province, and we don't need to worry about troubling them. We can ask them what colleges they know and we can visit the scholars too. That is the most urgent task. Xiao Yunduan felt so moved as he saw that she was considering him above everything else. He smiled gently. We won't be able to go to the province often, so you can also think about what you need to buy and make a comprehensive list. Xiao Xian smiled and nodded. She also told Xiao Yunduan that maybe they could bring Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao along as well. They should go and visit the outside world too. Most importantly, Xiao Xian had made up her mind to train Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao to become her helpers. She was teaching them how to read and wanted them to go out and have a look at the outside world. Xiao Yunduan did not object. In this way he could visit the local scholars and colleges at ease, while Xiao Xian would have someone with her when he was gone. Don't tell the others in the family about it yet. We will inform them when we leave. Xiao Yunduan added. Xiao Xian smiled. Of course. They did not want the news to be spread across the village and cause gossip. Also, Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni would want to join them as well, and that would trouble them a great deal. Xiao Xian believed that they would have a chance to visit the province again, with everyone in the family including her mother-in-law. But not right now. When the decision was made, Xiao Xian decided to visit the mountains during the next 2 days to see if there were any expensive herbs to take along, as she would pick some Ganodermas from her space, if nothing valuable was found. She decided not to touch what was in the space in case the magic would disappear. She needed to support the space so that it could upgrade and help her gain some more abilities. The roses were blooming vividly. Red and rosy were the biggest colors with the biggest size. Some pink ones were not so large, but they were many in number. There were some other colors including apricorn red, orange, purple and light yellow. Xiao Xian asked for the red and rosy ones to be picked so each one could be put into different bags in case they got mixed. Actually, if they blended the colors, new colors could be produced. But they needed repeated experiments to find the best colors. That would require a lot of time and energy, which was not something Xiao Xian had currently. When she found the time, she would get Xiao Taotao to do that together with her. She planned to get even more abundant colors. After 4 busy days, their work was paused as they waited for another patch of flowers to bloom. Miss Su and the others were resting at home, whilst Xiao Xian and Qi as well as Tao Tao went into the mountains. Announcement: We are moving box novel. Com to bro novel. Com. Please bookmark our new site. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 307. Tagging along as expected. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni also wanted to tag along. The group had become much bigger than estimated. However, the second section of the family, for some reason, got to know about their trip to the mountain. They came to them and said to Xiao Xiaoqi, "Qi, you can take your cousins to the mountains as well? They can be of some help. Miss Qiao, Ms. Yang and Tao Tao don't have to be with you guys. Women are always creating trouble in the mountains." Xiao Xian. Xiao Zioqi's face sank and he turned to look at Xiao Xian subconsciously. Ms. Fong also frowned involuntarily. They are just having fun in the mountains, not doing anything. What are your sons tagging along for? Eldest sister-in-law, you are so stingy. Why not take my sons to earn some money too? We can find some honey and get some pocket money as well, eldest uncle added. Qi, just take your second brother and fourth brother with you. They can help. Xiao Xiaoqi wasn't pleased after hearing this. He did not want to take them at all. But it looked as if they were going to come along. They would follow them in secret even if they were not taken along. Xiao Xian said, "If you want to tag along, we can go together. But the deal is that we don't promise to get anything. Also, you are older than us and you need to do some more hard work." Okay then, if anything good comes up, Qi will take the biggest portion and the rest will be shared among us. Second uncle wasn't pleased after listening to that. Miss Fong snorted. You don't have to go if you aren't happy about it. Second uncle did not dare to say anything more. All right. Xiao Xian smiled. Let's go. It is getting late. Second uncle added. Miss Qiao, Ms. Yang, what are you doing by tagging along? You can just stay at home. It is not easy to walk in the mountains. Won't you slow them down? The fewer people there were, the bigger the share would be. He even told his sons to concentrate on how to get the honey and grab it, as well as learn how Xiao Xiaoqi got the other things so that they could go there alone in the future. Before Miss Fong and Miss Qiao said anything, Xiao Xiaoqi said unhappily, "If the fifth sister-in-law is coming, I will go. She stays, I stay too." Second uncle. Xiao Xian became cheerful. Qi, you are a good boy. Xiao Xiaoqi smiled bashfully after hearing the compliments. Second uncle got annoyed. What are you saying? Xiao Xiaoqi turned his head. You heard what I said. Eldest uncle frowned. Qi, don't be so unruly. Miss Fong chimed in. Forget about the trip today. Qi said, okay. But Xiao Xiling got anxious. Eldest aunt, Qi, don't be angry, let's all go together, alright? Dad, just save your breath. Second uncle. They should not get impulsive and irritate the eldest aunt. In the end, they all headed out. Xiao Yunduan had not planned upon joining them, but seeing what happened, he went along. He needed to protect Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian wanted to try her luck in finding precious medicinal herbs such as Ganoderma lucidum, or China root or Solomon seals. She also wanted to see if she could come across some snow fungus, so she decided to visit a new area that she had never been to before. The first section of the family were already used to the path, but Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xilang were not. Chapter 308. Walking around, the first section of the family were already used to the path, but Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xilang were not. Especially when there was no proper road, they would need to open the path by themselves. Where are we going? They were rural people who grew up in the mountains, but they barely came to this kind of wild place. So, they were not very used to. Xiao Xiaoqi said, we are just walking around. What? Xiao Erlang's eyes opened wide. Aren't we seeking honey? Xiao Xilang nodded as well. Of course not. Xiao Xiaoqi added. We are just taking a walk. What? Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xilang looked at each other and became anxious, especially when they saw how calm the others were. Qi, let's just find some honey. There are so many weeds and vines here and the road isn't very smooth. Think about your sisters-in-law and sisters. They will trip over or stumble. Yang Xiaoni immediately refuted him. Second cousin, don't be silly. We have been here many times and we have never fallen or gotten hurt. Xiao Yunduan. Honey isn't so easy to find, it depends mainly on luck. Qiao Xian said, yeah, this is what our trip is always like. Ah, darling, look at the mushrooms. Qiao Xian cheered as she pointed at the left side. There were many penny buns there. Those were delicious things and everyone from the first section of the family looked excited. They got to know quite a lot of varieties of mushrooms, thanks to Qiao Xian. They understood that these penny buns were not only beautiful but also quite tasty. These were rare things. They were getting precious things early on this day. I will go and pick them. Me too. Qi and Tao Tao went to fetch the mushrooms cheerfully. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xilang could not help but roll their eyes, thinking that those people were so shallow-sighted. Those were just mushrooms. What were they getting so excited for? Xiao Xilang even added. Brother third and brother fifth, what are you standing here for? We are deep inside a forest and many snakes have climbed over them before. We can't pick these mushrooms. What if they kill us? Stop it, you. Xiao Sanlang said unhappily, we like eating mushrooms. Yang Xiaoni added. True, you know nothing. Seeing that none of them supported him, Xiao Xilang snorted and said nothing. It would serve them right if any accident happened. In this way they walked and stopped, got some mushrooms whilst Xiao Xiaoqi caught 2 wild roosters. Xiao Xian got some nice china roots in the pine forests but after that they got nothing else. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xilang got quite anxious. They did not recognize china roots and did not know that it was a good thing. They thought that these were just wild plants like yams, nothing interesting. They were only greedy for honey. Qi, where can we find honey? Take us there. Xiao Xiaoqi felt speechless. How could they find honey so easily? Most of the time, it was the 5th sister-in-law who helped them find it, but he would not say it out loud. He believed that the 5th sister-in-law was thinking the same as he was. She did not want to take them there. It depends on luck. We are looking for it. Xiao Xiaoqi said. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xilang suspected that Xiao Xiaoqi was lying, but they had no proof for that, thus could not counter him. Qiao Xian said, it will be lunchtime soon, let's take a break and eat something. There is spring water here and we can continue after eating something first. Chapter 309, Found it. Everyone agreed with what Qiao Xian said. As it is, Xiao Erlang and his brother's opinions did not matter. They could go about themselves if they were not convinced. Qi, you can divide the work among everyone. There are many yams over there, we can get some and roast 1 rooster for lunch. Okay, 5th sister-in-law. Hearing that they had 1 wild rooster to eat for lunch, Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xilang were delighted. They had not eaten a wild rooster for ages. They had not gotten much from the first section of the family recently, so they could not counter Qiao Xian when she proposed this. Xiao Erlang said, I am so tired. What about me roasting the wild rooster and you can go and find some wood? Brother third, you can do some other work as well. Qiao Xian said straightforwardly, second cousin, Qi is familiar with the mountains and it depends on him as to what we should do. We agreed on this, right? Qi should do the roasting and he is really good at it. Everyone from the first section of the family chuckled and nodded in agreement. You are the best chef here, everyone said so inwardly. But they did not say that out loud. After all, they did not want her to cook for people outside the family. Xiao Xiaoqi said, second cousin, I can roast the rooster and 4th cousin goes to find the wood, whilst you and 3rd brother can find yams over there. I and Tao Tao will wash and peel the rooster. Xiao Erlang could not counter him but Xiao Xilang asked. What about 5th sister-in-law and 5th brother? Xiao Xiaoqi replied with confidence. 5th brother is cultivated talent, and 5th sister-in-law is a noble lady. They don't need to do anything. 3rd sister-in-law can help with starting the fire. Yang Xiaoni nodded with a smile. I can do that, no problem. The others agreed. Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Erlang went to get the yams whilst Xiao Xilang had no choice but to grab the wood. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were both on the verge of laughing. Qi was so kind and he made them feel so warm in their hearts. Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan. Let's go and take a look, see what wild fruits there are. Xiao Yunduan followed her into the mountains. Did you find anything? Xiao Yunduan asked with a small voice. Startled, Xiao Xian smiled and blinked. You are smart. I just ran into 2 Ganodermas, so let's go and pick them. Let's do that. Soon they found the 2 Ganodermas, which were bigger than the palm of a man. The special scent brought their spirit up. The surface was complete, the color was black blended with purple, straight in the stem looking quite mystic. How beautiful! Xiao Xian could not help but praise the two pieces. She felt like not giving them away. However, these could not be put into space since Xiao Yunduan already saw it. Then they could be given to Yuejing Shao and Xie Jingrong respectively. The two of them picked up the plants and wrapped them up with gauze as well as a large patch of leaves, putting them carefully into the basket. As for the wild fruits, they saw a few persimmon trees and wild grapes that climbed up the canopy of the tall trees, but they were not yet ripe. They ate something for lunch, took a nap and then got up. They became quite lazy after lunch and soon they headed back home. Chapter 310. Superpower. In the afternoon, Shao Xiaoqi got 2 roosters and 3 pigeon-sized grouses, nothing more. Seeing the shadow in the forest became larger, they realized that it was time to go back home. Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang got quite anxious. They had their eyes widely open, seeking honey. But honey wasn't so easy to find even if they made efforts. On their way home, Xiao Xian found a very special-looking orchid in the forest. Orchids grew nicely in the woods. There were patches of such plants everywhere, which were good to decorate the garden, yet worth not that much money. Xiao Xian could tell directly if any special kind was sprouting within. She pretended as if she were picking the mushrooms. She walked over and picked them up. She found a few more of them and took them all. She placed them in the space without anyone noticing it. Thanks to the superpower, Xiao Xian was not that careful when it came to the dangerous forest. She walked ahead absent-mindedly. Suddenly, she sensed a strong pain on her finger and saw that she had been bitten by a black, large centipede. Her snowy and skinny fingers became swollen and she was in a lot of pain. Xiao Xian's face changed. She had not yet done anything when she sensed that some electrical life stream was going into her fingers as if washing away the dirt. Suddenly, the black blood rushed out and the poison inside her finger went away. A short while later, the swollen part faded away and the pain was suppressed. Only a tiny narrow red spot of wound was seen, and the stream-like power went all over the body. Xiao Xian looked at her finger in astonishment. She smiled. Good, her superpower knew exactly what it needed to do. How thoughtful. But she wondered if this function of healing could work on others too. Xiao Xian's heart throbbed. She was so excited. She planned to use it on the chicken, ducks and geese at home first. If it worked, it would be so wonderful. Soon after, she went back, smiling at her husband. Darling, it is getting late, what about going back home? Xiao Yunduan looked at Xiao Xian, wondering if he could figure something different about his wife. Her eyes were sparkling as if she had run into something cheerful. Was it because they had teased their cousins? Xiao Yunduan smiled and found that reasonable. It was the second section of the family who asked for this treatment. Yes, it is getting late, let's go home. Okay, good, let's go home. For dinner. I all nodded in agreement. Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang were not very convinced, but they understood that it would be very dangerous to wander about when the sunlight went away. So they had to agree in distress. The mushrooms and wild bamboo shoots in the mountains could be seen everywhere. They had enough in their basket on their way home. They had many mushrooms, yams, wild bamboo shoots as well as roots of kudzu vines. Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang were forced to carry them home too. Chapter 311. Not promised. They were not very happy to do the hard work, but if they did not offer help, the first section of the family might leave them halfway. So they had no choice but to carry the load and walk on. Back at home they were given 1 rooster and some yams, nothing more. Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang were very disappointed. What they wanted was honey. But as they thought about this, they believed that it was because they were not so lucky today. After all, if honey was so easily seen, the first section of the family might have made a fortune already. But thinking that they had a wild rooster for dinner, the two of them still felt quite cheerful when they went home. Chi, are we going tomorrow to find honey? Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang were still quite interested. Shao Xiaoqi turned to look at Xiao Xian subconsciously. Xiao Xian blinked at him and nodded slightly. Shao Xiaoqi smiled. Sure. Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang were excited again. Xiao Taodao asked, 5th sister-in-law, are we still taking them to the mountains tomorrow? Xiao Xian smiled. We are not going tomorrow. She can take them. They love having fun in the mountains, right? They were so shameless after being taken care of by eldest uncle all these years. They knew no rules. Those who had the way of getting rich depended on their own abilities. No one would just come and demand a share. Why would those who knew how to make money take someone else along for a free ride? Everyone smiled after hearing that. Shao Xiaoqi nodded with a smile. Okay. I will give my 2 cousins a big tour. Qiao Xian smiled and praised him. Shao Yunduan was going to take the imperial examination, and he needed to keep his reputation intact. Hence, Qiao Xian tried to keep her methods low-profiled when using them upon the other sections of the family. Most of the time, she would make them give up the matter by themselves. Otherwise they would keep pestering the first section incessantly. The following day Shao Xiaoqi took the 2 cousins into the mountains again. Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang were both quite cheerful. They believed that when they found the honey they could get a big portion. Shao Xiaoqi was just a young boy who was very easy to deal with. Shao Xiaoqi went into the mountains and traveled around easily. He intended to make them suffer by taking them up into the high mountains, weed-filled forests so that the 2 cousins got really tired. They failed to find the honey after one whole day of roaming around. In fact, they ran into some wild bees. Shao Xiaoqi dashed off and the 2 cousins did the same too. By evening they got very distressed as they came home. But Shao Xiaoqi was quite motivated and asked, "Are you coming tomorrow?" Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Still? Can we find honey tomorrow? Shao Xiaoqi burst out in laughter. I can't promise that. Then, they were not going. Shao Xilang asked him in return. It is so strange. Why can we not find it? Shao Xiaoqi pursed his lips. If it were so easy to find, we would have made a fortune by now. Chapter 312. Purposeful. They had actually already made a fortune because of their 5th sister-in-law's guidance. Moreover, they were going to build a large house by the end of this year. Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang were mute suddenly. Just drop it. Shao Erlang felt a bit scared as he thought of what they had experienced today. We are not going tomorrow. He was not going there anymore. It was too exhausting. Also, there was no guarantee that they could find the honey anyway. Who had the time to travel about in the mountains? Shao Xiaoqi smiled inwardly but showed a very disappointed look on his face. All right then. Ms. Zhang and Ms. Niu were both very disappointed as the 2 of them reached home. Still nothing? Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang were simply too tired to talk. How can it be so easy? The 2 of them fell asleep as soon as they reached their place. Ms. Zhang pursed her lips. I think the first section did it on purpose? How could they find so much honey whilst Erlang and 4th brother found nothing? I saw they had so many jars of honey. Annoyed, Ms. Niu intended to ask Ms. Fang about this, but then she thought of how Ms. Fang would react. Reluctantly, she gave up the idea of confrontation. She might get mocked by Ms. Fang if she went up to argue with her. That is honey, my sons can go and look for it themselves. They are sure to find a mess. Zhang looked down at her mother-in-law, who was too timid to interrogate the first section of the family. She could not stand it any longer. She went to the first section of the family and finally ran into Qiao Xian and Tao Tao, who had been picking vegetables in the field after she waited for a long while. Ms. Zhang went up and said sarcastically, 5th sister-in-law, you must have done that on purpose, right? How can you be so stingy? You know that we don't have much money. Still, you don't want to help us make money. Eldest uncle and eldest aunt were not like this earlier. But since the moment you came here, everything changed. You are trying to estrange us. Aren't you afraid of being blamed by our ancestors? Xiao Taodao got really annoyed. Stop it. You can talk with my parents about this, not my 5th sister-in-law. Ms. Zhang became angrier as she sneered. Tao Tao, you have become bolder too. You? Xiao Xian patted her arm and smiled. Tao Tao is confident, beautiful and bold, now no one can bully her. Also, whether you have money or not has nothing to do with me, 2nd sister-in-law. Your thinking is wrong. As for the honey, you can go and seek it yourself. That is the same mountain we go to. No one is stopping you. It all depends on luck. We also can't find it every time we are there. As for your accusation that I am creating a rift in the family, why didn't I know that? What about telling me in detail? Is it because we refused to work for you for free and did not offer you free money, hence you are saying this? You know that it doesn't make any sense, right? Ms. Zhang shivered and stammered. You don't lack money. You just don't know how hard it is to be poor. You can help us, why not do it? You talk big, but the truth is that you are so selfish. Qiao Xian felt shocked. Was this what Ms. Zhang was thinking? So were the other sections of the family, right? Chapter 313. Into Province. Qiao Xian said, "It is never easy to make money, and you can't simply have others do everything for you. Let me tell you, we are getting richer, but you are never going to get a penny out of our wealth. Only if you work hard and earn every penny one by one will you have a chance. But if you don't work hard and hope to get everything for free, you will get nothing." Ms. Zhang looked at Zhao Xian with hatred. She did not take in anything Zhao Xian said. It seemed that Ms. Zhang was the most extreme one from the second section of the family. That was so unexpected. Zhao Xian found her annoying but also pitiful. That was because her parents had taught her something against morality. But this matter had nothing to do with her. It was all her family's business. Before Ms. Zhang could say anything, Zhao Xian left with Xiao Taotao. Xiao Taotao whispered, "Fifth sister-in-law, second sister-in-law looks so scary. How did she become like this? She was not like this before." Qiao Xian shook her head. "I don't know. She only focuses on her brother and is probably stimulated by what happened last time." Xiao Taotao could not understand it and said, "But she is married now, and even if she wants to help her own family, she can't just steal her mother-in-law's money, right?" Qiao Xian smiled. "She knows nothing. We can't become like her. We should stay away from her." Xiao Taotao understood this point very well. After a few days, Yuezhing Shao's men came to fetch the last batch of watermelons. The good weather had saved the watermelons. They were large and refined on the surface with a layer of smoothness. The shell sounded crisp upon knocking. They seemed to be wonderful watermelons. The men from the Yuezhing family were surprised and glad to receive such good watermelons in the last batch. Zhao Xian gave them a dozen more and the rest were kept at home. She planned to plant some more with the seeds she kept back. Miss Su intended to take some seeds to her own family and she approved of it. She could give some spare ones to the others who needed it. Zhao Xian and Shao Yunduan proposed that they wanted to visit the province. The coachman and page boy of the Yuezhing family nodded without hesitation. They were in a good relationship and they were welcome anytime. Qiao Xian decided to bring the 600 lipsticks along, and Yuezhing Shao did not need to send anyone else over to fetch them. She even had hundreds of mint-smelling lip balms ready with her. Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian talked with the family about this, seeing that the Yuezhing family had sent their men over to fetch the watermelons. Miss Fang did not stop them. Her son needed to check the place ahead of time to learn about the imperial examination, so that he could be more prepared. Shao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were very happy that they could tag along. Miss Fang felt even more assured when they had company. So she approved of that proposal too. That is the province. There are so many things over there. I want to visit the place too. Xiao Sanling felt so jealous and looked at Xiao Yunduan with a look of begging. Yang Xiaoni nodded excitedly. She wanted to tag along as well. Before Xiao Yunduan said anything, Miss Fang hit Xiao Sanling on his head. "Drop this idea. You should stay at home and get the wood. We will be so busy during the harvest season that we won't have time to get enough firewood. You can help us chop more wood. Tao Tao and Ms. Jiao can keep each other company, and she can run errands for your fifth brother. You will be superfluous there." Chapter 314. Examination. Xiao Sanlang scratched his head and sadly gave up. They all laughed. Xiao Xiaoqi said, "Don't worry, brother, I will bring a lot of good food to you to only." Then did Xiao Sanlang feel better and said happily, "Don't forget about it. Just buy me as much good food as possible, I will try them all. I will give you money." Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were so generous now that they had some money. They had already eaten almost everything available in the town. Miss Fang glared at them upon hearing that. "Hey, you should know how to save money. I know that it's your personal money, but you need to keep some saved for tough times. We have a long way to go. Don't get greedy. You are married now, think about the long term." Xiao Sanlang did not care but mumbled. "We make money because we need to spend it. We can make some more when we don't have any." Miss Fang snapped. "Didn't you hear what I just told you?" Yes, Mom." Xiao Sanlang got startled and answered almost instinctively. Miss Fang asked him sternly, "You haven't spent much, right?" Xiao Sanlang felt a bit guilty as he stammered. No. Xiao Xiaoqi, Zhao Xian and Tao Tao exchanged a smiling look amongst themselves. How much Xiao Sanlang and his wife spent was unknown to Miss Fang and eldest uncle, but the others knew it well. They had easily bought 2 or 3 liang of snacks from the town. Miss Su was so concerned about their expenditure, and always complained about them spending too much to her husband. Xiao Dalong also found her words reasonable and talked to Xiao Sanlang about saving some money. Xiao Sanlang nodded yet still continued with his behavior. Miss Fong suspected his breezy words. Really? Come here. Miss Fong pinched Xiao Sanlang's ears. Show me your savings. I won't take your money, I have more than you have. I just want to check it. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni turned pale. You don't have to bother, Mom. Yes, Mom, you don't bother. The more they behaved like this, the more skeptical Miss Fong was. No. Take me there. Zhou Xian and the others left the place quietly. Something was going to happen soon and they needed to escape. Sure enough, the couple had to let Miss Fong check their money and was scolded badly. Miss Fong ordered them to give her half of what they earned so she could save it for them. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni did not dare to counter her words. On the day when the men from the Yuezhing family came over, they packed the watermelons and went onto the wagon together. Zhou Xian and the others rented another wagon when they reached the town, since the wagon had many watermelons on it already. The 2 wagons went forward together. They could reach the province by the evening since they started early. They were all excited, including Zhou Xian, who came out for a long-distance trip for the first time. She lifted the drapery and checked around. Everything was so new for her. Most importantly, they had the Yuezhing family with them and they were completely safe. They stopped for lunch at a restaurant in the town and soon moved on. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.